accident, you need a lawyer, and you deserve an advocate. Because every accident has a ripple effect. It affects your time, your health, your ability to make money, everything. That's where the advocates can help. Speaking with an attorney is simple and 100% free. We're available 24/7 for your convenience, and we'll take on the claims process so you can rest easy. Because you're not just a client to us, you're a person, and you deserve the best help you can get. You deserve an advocate.
This is the Monty Show, the truth in sports talk streaming. When you want unbiased opinions about your favorite team without the spin, all you have to do is find the Monty Show, streaming live and available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on YouTube. And now, here's Monty.
Hey, the Monty Show live on Tuesday, June 3rd, 2025, and a massive day of breaking news. As always, we're presented by the Advocates at theadvocates.com, the best injury attorneys in the business. Keep them top of mind because, unfortunately, this time of year, we're in the middle of the 100 deadliest days of the year between Memorial Day and Labor Day. If you're on your bicycle, if you're on your motorcycle, you know that the four wheels don't care about the two wheels, man. Be careful out there. And if the worst does happen, get to theadvocates.com where you never pay out of pocket to work with the advocates. You get clear, risk-free advice, and you don't have to pay a penny to get it. At theadvocates.com, chat with an injury attorney 24/7, 365. Breaking just moments ago, the Florida Board of Governors rejects the hiring of Santa Ono as the new president at the University of Florida. I don't think either of us are what I say. I am surprised. I am surprised, but this was always a possibility.
Listen, what I'm more surprised about is that you didn't have the votes before you went ahead and hired dude. Like you didn't think to consult the Board of Governors about whether they would be comfortable with a guy of Santa Ono's how shall we put it? Notoriety currently. You didn't think to run that by the folks that had to approve it. You didn't think that was like, you didn't think you needed to do that this would just be a stamp of approval? Because I remember the statement, and I didn't have time to go and find it, but I remember what you said in your statement, which was, hey, this guy, led a great educational system.
He's
amazing, and everything's awesome.
He is sliced bread of presidents.
Turns out not everything is actually awesome, and not everybody agrees with that assessment.
It was not close. It was 10 nays to 6 yays, which is not close. He had to be unanimous to get approved. He was not. I don't know how else to say this other than, can we still argue that the stain of Michigan now? I mean, are you really able to make the argument that Michigan's brand has not been damaged by the Santa Ono era? Whether it was, and if you want to use the DEI stuff, whatever you want to point to, I'm going to point to the Jim Harbaugh scandal. I am going to point to just absolute anarchy in the football department. No rules being followed, allegedly. You look at the basketball stuff with Juwan Howard under Santa Ono, and then you throw on top of that the political environment on campus in Ann Arbor. It's a disaster. It is absolutely a disaster. And again, I go back and I tell you, for what did you do all of this? You destroyed the legacy and the reputation of a great university at the University of Michigan. For what? For what? Because Santa Ono, for every significant policy, and again, whether it was, diversity and inclusion, he has apologized for that. Whether it was Jim Harbaugh and the sign stealing stuff, he's apologized for that. Like, is there anything that went on during Santa Ono's term at Michigan that people can be proud of? And I'm sure there is. That is still, and I know it seems outlandish to say, that is still one of the best academic institutions in our country. You just don't know it anymore because it is scandal-ridden and it is controversy-ridden and it is buried under, 10 layers of BS during the Santa Ono era.
We did what we did.
And now he cannot even get a job at Florida. And with all due respect to the University of Florida, I would think that Michigan is a far more attractive job. That's a much bigger job. That's a much more high profile job. And you lost 6-10 out of 16 voting members. Only 6 said yes. That's a landslide in the wrong direction for Santa Ono.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitive. And I also think that it makes a very clear stance on what the Board of Governors in Florida, is going to put up with. And I think that, for all you people out there thinking, no punishment, NCAA is not going to do anything. This is no big deal. It's going to blow over. I don't think it's no big deal. And I also think that if you're the Board of Governors, you know a lot more about the NCAA's evidence and what's coming down the pipe than I think the public does, I would guess. And I think you're not touching that with a 10-foot pole.
And it's amazing. Santa Ono, it's not like he got fired or run out of Ann Arbor. Santa Ono left Michigan to go and be the boss at Florida. And now Florida said, nah, we're good. Thanks. That's the amazing part. Michigan would happily still have Santa Ono as its president. And it goes back to being scumbags, frankly. You have an athletic director that, in my opinion, is absolutely an embarrassment and a blight on ethics and integrity and making of men. I think that he has humiliated the University of Michigan with this college football playoff debacle that, quite frankly, is squarely on the shoulders of Ward Manuel, because he completely ignored strength of schedule and tried to screw Ohio State, who frankly turned around and was like, nah, we're good. We're just going to go win the most difficult national championship anybody's ever won. And then you got run out of that system, and they had to completely change the system because Ward Manuel is such a fraud and an embarrassment. Never mind Matt Weiss allegedly, stealing nude photos by breaking into social media accounts and hacking networks to get access. Never mind Jimmy was just out there, Monty, he was just out there feeding hungry kids. Cheeseburgers for breakfast. Nobody said he was a dietitian, but he is a humanitarian. Yeah, it turns out that was all BS.
Dangerous misinformation.
Then you have the vacuum salesman. Well, Balake Corum, he was never, I didn't.
No.
But you have that whole controversy.
What?
You have the sign stealer guy. All of that under Santa Ono. And you're going to sit here and tell me, oh, well, God, Santa Ono he had a better opportunity. So, and I love the Michigan guy who apparently now is morphed into the Texas State guy after yesterday's show. But I love the Michigan guy who's like, oh, Santa Ono, he was our guy. And he left and he took a better job.
I want the best people.
Santa Ono is an embarrassment. Michigan is a complete and utter failure as an institution.
Got to be America's team.
How else do you describe it?
I don't know.
And I just continue to go back and say, whose fault is it? Well, it's not Jim Harbaugh's fault.
Sign stealer guy.
He didn't know. It's not sign stealer's guy because he was just doing his job and then he got fired.
Well, Monty.
Ward Manuel, he doesn't. And I love the Michigan guy who's like, well, it's not Ward Manuel's fault the football program was doing that, but then it's Jim Harbaugh's fault. No, Connor Stallions was a lone wolf. Okay. So at what point does Michigan fan and a Michigan man when do you wear the badge of responsibility for just what an incredible dumpster fire and just a humiliating steaming pile of garbage that Michigan has become?
Oh dear. Oh my.
You destroyed the ethics and integrity and reputation of the University of Michigan for a championship now that nobody recognizes or says is a legitimate championship.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did.
Nice
Congratulations.
job, guys. Really nice.
Well done, friends.
Nice.
Well done. I'm amazed by it. I'm amazed by it.
Truly the cherry on top of the whole thing, because now you can't deny that there's a stench. There is a stain. There is a whoa, you guys are radioactive up there in Ann Arbor. We want nothing to do with that.
And I agree with the chirping that went on the show last week when we talked about Santa Ono. I've never said that Santa Ono left because of that scumbag Jim Harbaugh and that absolute embarrassment of an athletic director in Ward Manuel. I've never said that's why he left. I think it was a footnote in the reasons he left, but there's no question the absolute irresponsibility of the environment that Santa Ono oversaw on campus politically. That's the main reason he left. And I also think it's awesome that during the time where people were, should we hire him? Should we not hire him in those meetings at Florida? What were they bringing up? Well, the basketball program at Michigan, the Matt Weiss scandal, the football program, all that stuff as a footnote to, well, look at the political atmosphere.
Well, Monty.
And the worst part is, and it doesn't matter what side of the DEI line you're on, because some of us are on one side, some of us are on the other side.
What else is new?
That's how America works. That's what makes this country amazing. Santa Ono doesn't stand for either side because he was one of the staunchest proponents of DEI on campus. And then when it was no longer cool to be a staunch proponent, I pulled that back. So are you, aren't you? When you're neither, and in the when there is a vacuum of leadership, people step up and try to lead. And you don't always want those people leading. And that's how you get Ward Manuel. And that's how you get Jim Harbaugh. And that's how you get Matt Weiss. And that's how you get Juwan Howard. That's how all this nonsense happens. So we can sit here and we have conversations about how, Santa Ono, he wasn't one of us. Well, he was the boss of your university during the worst time in history for that university, where you actually walked away with a trophy that now nobody recognizes and everybody realizes isn't a legitimate championship.
Cheating, lying, and then playing the victim.
And Santa Ono, the same guy who wanted to make Jim Harbaugh the highest paid football coach in the history of the sport.
And give him immunity at one point until they realized they couldn't do that. So just saying, goes
it's
around
amazing
and comes around,
to me.
doesn't it?
It's amazing to me that Santa Ono, who, again, I want to remind you, Santa Ono was not fired from Michigan, was not asked to leave Michigan, was not under the threat of being fired. No, because Santa Ono is the exact kind of person and the exact kind of administrator that Michigan loves to have around. And I see the track record. Juwan Howard, Jim Harbaugh, Ward Manuel, Santa Ono. They love having that kind of loser failure of a leader in positions of authority at Michigan because they continue to do that. You just extended Ward Manuel, who is one of the worst athletic directors in the history of the Big Ten, and continues a trend in the Big Ten of scandals, not protecting the overall safety of students. Can anybody explain to me how Matt Weiss was made possible? Well, I can. A lack of oversight. A lack of oversight.
Oh, but Monty, he was a lone wolf.
So much so that one day the FBI knocked on your door and hung out for like weeks at a time on campus. And remember when I said, hey, the FBI's on campus at Michigan. Oh, it's nothing. There's nothing here. No. Connor Stallions and vacuums. And oh my God. Yeah, it turned out it was much more than that. It was sex crimes and it was images of reportedly, allegedly students that he broke into a database and stole passwords and then took their nudes off of social media channels. Other than that,
that's fucking interesting, man.
Other than that, it was all about Connor Stallions emptying vacuum bags,
Donnie, you're out of your element.
Turns out it wasn't.
Quote, it's nothing, Monty.
This is a nothing burger.
Get the hell out. Yeah, quite literally for Jim, isn't it? Quite literally for Jim. It'll blow over, Monty.
Listen, those kids were hungry, and it's not Jim Harbaugh's fault. that he's so generous. He bought so many cheeseburgers that, of course, one landed on the table at what just happened to be the same diner where Jim was having a cheeseburger for breakfast, where he claimed or didn't claim because he refused to sit down for a meeting with the Committee on Infractions, but claimed and then didn't claim in stuff that he never met the kid. And then when they said, well, hey, look at these text messages, look at these phone calls. And then all of a sudden, yeah, Jim Harbaugh's memory got exponentially better. Like, I mean, it's amazing how that works. Connor Stallions was a lone wolf.
Hell no.
Blake Corum wasn't on there.
Bro, do you, for all the
Blake Corum wasn't on that LLC.
Dude, for all the Connor Stallions, Dyson salesmen out there, do you guys feel like idiots now? Like, can we come to the middle and, come together in the Monty Show universe to say that, yeah, he wasn't a lone wolf. Jim is a scumbag, and all the guys underneath him. I mean, this is, this is like out of a mafia movie when they've got the whole, family out on the whiteboard, and they're like, oh yeah, he did this and you did that, and Jimmy was responsible, and he didn't happen, by God's will to show up at the same burger diner. They, like, come on, dude.
At the same university where they gave Ward Manuel a contract extension.
Come on, dude.
When he was the athletic director over one of the worst football scandals we've ever seen. And over Juwan Howard's time as the
Because it's garbage.
Juwan Howard. Oh, we all forget about Juwan Howard.
Who's the lone wolf in the Juwan Howard situation?
Yeah, how do you just explain? Oh, but Ward Manuel and oh man, Ward is a humiliating embarrassment who absolutely derailed the college football playoff to try and screw Ohio State.
You couldn't even do that correctly,
You
bro.
couldn't even put your knuckle deep in Ohio State when you had the chance. And they go on to win what is the best national championship in the college football playoff era. And people are laughing at you and realize that your championship is actually not really a championship. And Blake Corum was actually, in fact, on that LLC. Now, here's the question I ask. If there was forgery, which is what was purported, how come there's no, forgery charges pending against Connor Stallions?
I don't know. I don't know if I don't know quite. I don't quite know how to answer that, to be honest.
Because it's illegal for coaches and players to be business partners. It's quite literally.
I'm not doing that.
Yeah, it's quite literally an NCAA bylaw that coaches and players can't be in business together
because it's illegal.
Oh, but it was his name in the LLC and the forgery.
Yeah, they weren't in business together. It was just Sign Stealer Guys LLC.
No, it's not Sign Stealer Guys.
Come on.
It's Lone Wolf.
Oh, Lone Wolf LLC.
Come on, man.
Come on, dude.
Come on, man.
Be better, bro.
I think it is. It's
thank
amazing.
Thank you. I just want to say thank you to the Board of Governors in Florida for making us look really good.
Is it a rule now that people have to break news right when the show starts? Is that the newest rule?
Yeah, Monty over here, getting breaking news information like 5 seconds before the show as usual, and then this comes out, and then I can't remember who's reporting it, but the ACC and Florida State and Clemson are officially closed in their settlement. That's all done now. So
that can't be true because the ACC's melting down and Florida State's going to the Big Ten.
Everyone's leaving.
That conference doesn't exist anymore, right?
And Notre Dame's going to the Big Ten with
That's
UNC.
Right. Thank you. Well, as soon as the ACC's done, as soon as we find fraud in that ESPN contract,
there's a smoking gun.
So predictable.
You're a homer is the first part.
Delaric, good afternoon to you, my friend. Curso is getting a ring. Caruso, you mean, is getting a ring? Yes, he is. Because I'm telling you now, OKC's winning that series. Well, Tyrese Halliburton. Anything you want to say about your no-show contract, Tyrese Halliburton?
No. Finals performance will speak for itself.
Okay.
They won the series, didn't they?
It always feels good to start the show being validated with what we told you.
Here I am.
TJ Beck, will any G5 be able to offer profit sharing at any level? Maybe not. And we probably, The Texas State contingency on this show yesterday in the comments section. If you guys go back and look at the comments on YouTube from yesterday's live show and then the uploads from it's wild how many Texas State fans are losing their minds.
Listen, I tried to give you guys the loyal, to the death supporters of the Monty program. I tried to give you a break today. I did a Knicks title, wrote out a nice Knicks narrative, did a thumbnail, tried to get us in the NBA early so we could laugh at Ryan Smith and laugh at the Knicks and, laugh at everything.
Heavens forbid we would talk something other than college football on this show.
God forbid we wouldn't have, Texas State trying to get into the Pac-12 as a headline. And then here we are.
The most poorly run university in the country just can't get out of their own way because the guy they didn't fire now can't get hired at Florida.
You fucking donkey.
Well, hey,
Monty.
Hey, Michigan, it's me, Santa. Oh, Merry Christmas, Santa. No, Santa Ono. Oh, how you liking the Sunshine State, buddy? Well, actually...
Well, Monty, it's a little bit humid, but I was really calling because, the Board of Governors rejected me and I'd like to come back. And,
great. Let's make you the highest paid president ever in the history of education here in North America, ever.
But listen, Monty, I'm going to need full immunity from the FBI, even though you can't give that to me, okay?
It's ridiculous. Nacho Libre says, greetings and salutations. Welcome to the Nightmare. Good afternoon, Monty, Jakey, Two Shakes. Everyone hit the like button.
Yes, hit the like button.
Please do. Backwoods, sexy Mike Smith. Mike, how are you, man? Good to see you. Why I can't put your comments up, I don't know. There we go. Hello. Sergeant Morhew. Hello. Jesse Crum. Hello. Phil Venzer. Who will be the first person to get filtered today? I don't know. Has anybody been filtered today yet?
I personally would like an apology.
Nobody's been filtered yet.
Well, we're only 24 minutes in. I mean, I think yesterday, we were about 40 minutes into somebody else getting filtered.
I mean, that could happen, such as in welcome Alex Reyes to the membership.
Hey, Alex.
Alex, appreciate you supporting the show, my friend. Thank you very much for that. He joins our entry-level membership, which means his name will be highlighted and his comment will be read. Now, already, do we read non-member comments today? Because there's already one well-known jackwagon in the comments section.
Oh, is there?
Yeah, I believe his name is Ferris Khan. Poncho, am I here? Do I exist? Is this thing on? No, it's not. You don't, and no.
Okay, what's his other comment? Is his other comment a Ferris-esque comment?
Poncho Cornwallis. Oh, God. Who are you, Eric Wasikowski? The best team in baseball is the Detroit Tigers, who have played nobody.
Bro.
I think it is important to point out this fact at this time. Also, there are two emojis. Does your team have two emojis? Okay. I'm talking about Santa Ono in Michigan, and all you've got is the Detroit Tigers. But okay. San Diego State Glenn, cough, cough, still here. Good day, people. Ooh, hope you're feeling better. I would also like to point out, I made it through the entire show yesterday. Don't believe I coughed one time.
Well, congratulations, dude.
Don't believe I coughed one time. Poncho reaction incoming. Don't lead him on. Eric Wasikowski, Tigers first team to 40 win. Bro, it's the White Sox.
Neat. Talk to me, dude. Talk to me in August, bro.
Why do you think I'm not getting excited about the Cubs?
Yeah, like
it is. Come on. It is early. Now, Detroit by far right now is got the best record in baseball. 2 games better than the Mets, 3 games better than the Cubs, and 4 games better than the Yankees. But if you'd have told me that the Chicago Cubs would have the best offense in baseball, and it is June 3rd, I would laugh at you. I would laugh at you. Do you know how many bad things have happened to baseball teams in August and September? There is a long way to go. But I agree, Detroit fans, you have almost nothing to hang on to. The Lions continue to stomp on your nuts. The Pistons, well, that is what it is. The Red Wings, yeah, they suck too. So having Javi back with the Detroit Tigers, I say El Tigre's up. El Tigre's up. Go get them, right? Yeah. I got no bone to pick with the Tigers.
Stay hard.
You know, the fact that the Tigers also have one of the better staffs in baseball is pretty amazing. So I give you credit. So wait, the infamous shady, and those are the nice words, President. You don't want him associated with your university. Gator's finally getting something right.
Dude.
I think it's a huge move. Here's Poncho on Santa Ono. This ought to be rich. Santa Ono left Michigan because of non-football reasons. No, he did not. He was not fired. He was not asked to leave. It was not Michigan who told him to go. It was not. It was all over his reaction to protesters. No, it was not. Santa Ono, under no circumstances, and this has been much publicized and talked about during this hiring process, Michigan, under no circumstance, asked Santa Ono to leave. They were, in fact, shocked that he was even considering the job at Florida. Under no circumstance did Michigan ask Santa Ono to leave. Under no circumstance. TJ Beck, Florida just didn't want a burger cook in their kitchen. Chef Santa Ono.
See what he did there?
Handing out cheeseburgers.
Right.
Big Pontiff.
Hey, Pontiff.
The Pope says it doesn't matter why he left. He has the stink on him. Truth.
Facts.
And I think that's a really interesting point. I think there is a stain on the University of Michigan that is going to take some years to get away from. And if, in fact, it does come down and you are hit pretty hard by the Committee on Infractions, which I would think here in the month of June we will finally get determinations on. If that, in fact, happens, dude, it is going to be a long road back.
Yep.
Because I think this is one of the rare situations where we've ever seen a university completely collapse from a lack of leadership. And if you look at Santa Ono, he has full authority and oversight of the athletic department. And when you hire bad people, Santa Ono, Ward Manuel, Jim Harbaugh, I mean, the list is endless. It's Matt Weiss.
Yes.
Connor Stallions. And listen, I old ball coach that's there now. Is that the guy who restores the glory to Michigan? Yeah, I don't think so.
Yeah.
I don't think so. Doesn't matter if he's guilty or innocent. He has the stank of Harbaugh on him.
Yeah.
I think that's exactly right. Word timeout. Jeremiah Champion. Joseph Harper. Santa Ono had to leave Michigan. Michigan only has room for one Slim Shady. There you go. There you go. Santa, you know the sad thing? I think Santa Ono is actually good at his job. But when you are defined by what happens when you have challenges, controversies, there's always going to be people making mistakes. When you have the enormity of humans that it takes to run a university, but you can under no circumstance send the message to your faculty and staff that Jim Harbaugh should have been the highest paid coach in the history of college football. He's a scumbag loser who won nothing without cheating. And what should have been the pinnacle, the highest of highs, very quickly has turned into a scandal-ridden, tainted, now unrecognizable, now illegitimate championship. Because you allowed all of that to roll downhill. If it's just, hey, what should our philosophies be? What direction should this university take? I think Santa Ono, fine guy. Hey, but there's all these, Israel-Palestine protests on campus. Yeah, that's not the guy you want handling that.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Jim Harbaugh. Well, let's put Harbaugh aside for a minute because we've got this thing with Juwan Howard where he's allegedly getting physical in the handshake line.
Oh.
Pipe him down. Give him the largest basketball contract anybody's ever seen anywhere. Go look up what the highest paid coach in the history of global basketball is. Give that to Juwan. I'm sure he'll settle down.
It'll make him feel good,
Okay, but this Jim Harbaugh thing, it's a huge scandal. We got caught stealing signs. The FBI's on campus.
But who cares about that? I mean, that's,
should we fire him? Like, how do you want to release the news that we're going to fire him? Fire him. Offer him the biggest contract we've ever seen, and why don't we make sure that no matter what happens with the NCAA, we insulate him from that? Because that's what it kind of feels like, in my opinion, happened on that campus. Maybe with some, adjectives thrown in there.
Right.
I fully support the rejection of Ono. There are a lot of politics on this vote. I'm concerned about the search and who is leading it. Tension between governors and the trustees is still high. How do I say this gently? If this was just South Florida and Miami and Dade County and the wildness that happens in South Florida politics, you could almost understand that, right? Yeah, this is statewide politics, and this is DeSanctimonious getting absolutely bag slapped and then trying to fight back. And politics in Florida right now is
rough,
a mess. And I don't know that there's an easy out on it. I truly do not. I'm going to start handing out word timeout slips. Everyone that makes a dumb comment. Okay.
You're welcome.
Wasikowski, we appreciate your service, Jeremiah. DEI scam was the reason Ono left. I think he left. I think Santa Ono left because he didn't want the project of fixing what he had broken.
Hold on one second here. So when we're talking about Santa Ono leaving and your beloved Michigan and anything to do with, Michigan sports, pro or collegiate, you just take the story at face value. But if we talk about Elon or we talk about, whatever it might be, oh, no, it's fake news. This is completely ridiculous. He didn't leave because of the DEI thing, did he?
No.
He left because they're going to get that ass beat by the NCAA.
Correct.
And he's going to look awful in that process. And now already looks awful through this process.
Yeah, I think it is going to be very interesting to see what is the upshot of all this at Michigan. I'm very curious to see how all this play out. Pancho, Monty has more information that is credible than your opinion. And we okay, that's a lie to say we don't try to tell you that. The only difference between
No, I guess not.
The only difference between us and the garden variety sports fan is we talk to the people we talk about. On this show, and I think we've made this promise to you, and we have kept it. Promises made, promises kept. We have said we're not going to talk about people until we talk about those people until we talk to them or as close to them as we can get. And it just so happens on the Big Ten and the Michigan stuff, we just know people. Man, I've been in this business for 30 years. This isn't a hobby. I'm not sitting in my mom's basement, right? Like, this is what we do. And we've been right about Michigan. We know what happened with Santa Ono because we know people involved. Like, anybody that's telling you Santa Ono was fired by Michigan is completely wrong. Could not be wrong. Wasikowski says 23 champs. Well, enjoy it because you're the only one who thinks that. There is nobody in the college football world that recognizes what that scumbag Jim Harbaugh did and his entire staff at Michigan. There is nobody who Jim Harbaugh could not beat the Little Sisters of the Poor and then all of a sudden couldn't lose a football game to anybody.
And now it's all bored out, bro. It's all proven.
With J.J. McCarthy as his quarterback. Like, are you out of your mind? And then your scumbag athletic director is like, well, here, let me screw Ohio State as hard as I can by giving them one of the most impossible paths to a national championship of college football that anybody's ever seen. And dude, they absolutely piped you. And he is a complete and utter embarrassment. It is what it is, right? It is what it is. All right, a couple more on this. Can hacker you, cheater you, just leave the Big Ten? I think it's possible, but I'm not sure. It is what it is. Love Muscle R. Okay, wait. you are a love muscle or love muscles are, okay. For $2, my Nevada Wolfpack can only get better. Yes, they can. I'm telling you, UNR, okay, we're 30 minutes into the show. Who's filtered? Amazing. It's fine. It's fine. Poncho says Michigan's faculty and board. No, they did not turn on Santa Ono. At no time was he ever in jeopardy of losing his job.
Why do you think he left?
At no time. Was there synergy amongst the leadership at Michigan? No. Was he beloved? No. Was he fired? No. Was he asked to leave? No. Did they hint that he should look for a job? No, they did not. No, they did not. Let's see your sources then, Poncho. Fans, you guys, and I continue to tell you this. And to your credit, Wasikowski, you've kind of leaned back to the middle a little bit. It's probably because Doge failed, but whatever the reason, I'm kidding.
Quite the turn, huh?
You've leaned back towards the middle a little bit and kind of taken your emotions out of it. And as a Michigan State fan, I give you credit for that. But guys like Poncho, you make jackasses out of yourself when you say things that are just patently false. And you cannot back it up. It's crazy to me. No, Poncho, he was pulling the ripcord because he didn't want to go down with the plane. Problem is the chute was on fire when he leapt. Yes, it was. Yes, it was. I'm simply asking because that's the first I've heard of DEI being a cause for Ono. I think DEI has been a huge talking point. It was a huge talking point in the confirmation process at Florida. The main things that you hear about Santa Ono, and again, I have no life, so I followed the Santa Ono confirmation thing very closely. It was number one, it was Israel-Palestine. The way that those protests and marches on campus were handled, and I don't know what the right word, how you describe the fact that he just wouldn't get involved. And then when he did get involved, it was far too late. And the damage had been done. I think DEI was second. And then I think the scandals and one of the things that was specifically talked about was the legal fees Michigan paid. Again, here we are talking about universities and athletic bodies spending money. The amount of legal resources that were directed to defend the football program.
Yeah.
And you can, I'm sure there are transcripts. Go find them. Like, there is no question that Santa Ono at Michigan was a president constantly riddled by his own controversies. He should have, and I think I'll give Detroit Sports Radio a little credit for this because it's their question. What if Jim Harbaugh had been suspended indefinitely without pay when the Connor Stallion scandal hit? Instead of trying to go to court and then getting an injunction hearing in front of a judge, and I know I've said this a million times, a judge who played football at Michigan and graduated from Michigan law, that was who was going to hear the Jim Harbaugh injunction to prevent the Big Ten suspension. But why didn't they? Because at the absolute last moment, after spending all the time and all the resources and money and time, Michigan pulled the injunction and let him be suspended. And that pissed people off.
Yep.
And how many universities across this country are we going to see? Washington State's another great example of this, where you have the faculty threatening a sit-in on a story that we broke first here on the Monty Show. The faculty and staff at Washington State showed up at Kirk Schultz's office. Remember the Nick Rolacock situation where wouldn't wear a mask, vaccination, blah, blah, blah. Remember all that?
Yes.
And all the money that was being spent on athletics and
the
then
coronavirus.
They threatened to do a sit-in at his office. He's not there. But all of a sudden, what happened later that day? Funny, out of the blue, Kirk Schultz released a letter saying that all spending had been frozen pending review. How many times are we going to get to a place where we have faculty revolting against management at a university like Michigan, when the right thing to do would have been to suspend Jim Harbaugh indefinitely without pay pending termination because you cheated? And then you lied and said you didn't cheat, and now the evidence is overwhelming. And never mind that now Sharon Moore is a repeat offender. Jim Harbaugh is a repeat offender.
Yep.
What are you hanging on to here? What are you hanging on to? Boyd Lake, are you hearing any news about Retzlaff? You know, it's funny. I was talking to a dude, and I'm glad you brought this up. Because Utah fan is out there, and I'm sure you guys know about this, and look at Jake, doesn't want to talk about it.
Yeah.
We had a long discussion about this before the show. Should we talk about what BYU should do with Jake Retzlaff?
Because everybody and their mom has done oh, no Jake Retzlaff. Is BYU going to be okay? And I feel like that's just yeah, it's a conversation, but it's June. Like, talk to me about that in August, bro. Like, come on.
I think, and I'm trying to make sure I get this right. I was talking to a guy who is very closely tied to, I want to make this clear, does not work at or for BYU, but is very close to the BYU football program, who was telling me that he's been hearing it's a foregone conclusion that Jake will be expelled for honor code violations. They will give him the opportunity to withdraw.
Mm-hmm.
And I've heard from multiple people that there's potential. One of the options could be Jake withdraws from school to focus on this situation. My feeling is that BYU is going to hang on as long as they can. But again, what's going to happen if they don't do if we hear nothing and Jake Retz plays the season next year? Which I don't think is an option.
No.
I don't think it's an option. How many people on that campus are going to be pissed? I think a lot. Because either side of the line, let's presume Jake Retzlaff is guilty of every single detail that this woman brought up in the lawsuit. You want to go to school with that guy? At a university where simply having a woman in your room when you are not married constitutes an honor code violation.
Right.
Let alone engaging in sexual acts, let alone committing depraved sexual assaults. So what female is going to want to go to college with Jake Retzlaff? Okay, let's assume that Jake is not guilty. None of it ever happened. It's all fabricated. Does that seem likely?
I think what's likely is we're never going to know.
That was exactly where I was going. We're never going to know what happened in that apartment. What does that mean? Okay, likely this case gets settled. That's my guess, based on my opinion, is you don't file lawsuits like this, a la the Pac-12 and Mountain West and every other lawsuit you see, Kobe Bryant, Eagle, Colorado, which actually went to trial. But what inevitably happens? You settle. Not because you're guilty, not because you're innocent, because you want it to be over with. But what does that mean for Jake Retzlaff? Let's pretend Jake Retzlaff announces a settlement with the woman that sued him civilly. Because again, and I know Utah fan, you love to cheer for other people to suffer greatly, which is amazing to me. This is not a criminal case. Right? Does everybody understand that?
No, I don't think everybody understands that.
The police department said there was not actionable evidence. The evidence that was collected was not actionable. And in a case where, according to court filings, a rape kit was conducted, that means there's not DNA. There is not proof. There is not enough evidence to charge Jake Retzlaff in this case or anybody else, Jake Retzlaff settles with this young woman. You can't have him stay. It's an honor code violation. Well, but Monty, he didn't admit to doing it. It doesn't matter. You were sued for heinous sexual assault and you settled. You can't play football at BYU. So the percentages are not on Jake Retzlaff's side in any way, shape, or form. And I hate to say that, but I think that, listen, Harvey Unga was a running back at BYU, and his then not married girlfriend got pregnant. He had to withdraw. Jamal Williams, not Mormon, not LDS, from the Inland Empire outside of Los Angeles, gets a ticket for possession of alcohol by consumption. What does that mean? Well, he drank alcohol. Can't play football at BYU. So let me get this right. Jamal Williams, possession by consumption, can't play football at BYU. Harvey Unga, in a relationship, and now that woman is his wife, can't play football at BYU. Jake Retzlaff settles out of court, because I think that's the only outcome here, because you do not want this going to trial. You think he's going to be able to play football at BYU, where football is at least fifth? Come on.
Yeah.
I would love it not to be. I would love that not to be the case.
Look, I just think that BYU, you know, at some point the train's got to leave the station. I'm moving on from Jake. And I'm not saying they got to be in a hurry to do that. Like I just said 2 minutes ago, it's June.
They've already done whatever they're going to do.
But I just mean like publicly, though. Like
sure.
At some point, you know, you're going to have to make a move.
Behind the scenes, this conversation's already happened.
Yeah.
And that thing, there is a lid on that thing so tight that we're not going to know until, my guess is until fall camp, or I don't even know how that would come out.
Man, let me ask this question, because I think this is also something I see everywhere. The concept of, okay, how do you best handle this in terms of like, when do you announce, hey, or when would Jake announce, like whatever, you know, the mechanism is, you know, when does this go down? Because I don't think, to what you just said, I don't think they can afford to have it go into camp. That's not what you want.
Cannot do that.
I would be, you want to get all of this out of the way, taken care of, tied off before camp gets here, dude.
Forget football. The reputation of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. I don't know how far above football that is. I can't count that high. But we're not, and I am not Mormon. Frankly, I am not religious at all. But I can tell you this. I've been around that program since 15 years now, something like that. I believe wholeheartedly they have to do everything in their absolute power to protect the church, the reputation of the church, the reputation of that university, and the honor code. Because that's their mission in life. It's not about the football team. That's the mission of the church, is to grow. It's the mission of the church to spread their gospel. When your star quarterback is in this position, he's not a star quarterback anymore. He's the Jewish kid who goes to BYU Provo. Let that sink in, because I am telling you now, there's a lot more at play here than what happens when fall camp rolls around, and it can't be awkward for who gets the most reps, because I'm telling you now, the quorum doesn't give a rat's ass who gets the most reps in fall camp. No. I am just telling you that now.
Yeah, and you know, to that end, my main point's always been, it's never going to get that far. I was more saying you don't want your kids showing up and having to wonder about what the values of the
You know,
come on.
Imagine being a 20-year-old student at BYU sitting in front of the honor code office or sitting in front of your bishopric at your local stake, at your local church.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you're in the Mormon church, there's a leadership in each church. So there's enough, this is probably going too far. There's a temple surrounded by a bunch of what they call stakes, which are individual churches. And each one of those individual churches has what's called a bishopric, which are the leadership of that stake.
And it's very powerful.
I had a friend of mine who argued, him and his neighbor, true story, and I've told this story on the show before.
This was incredible.
They had a fence that was, and I don't know if you remember.
A wall. But yeah.
A wall between their friendship.
Yes.
They had a fence on their property. And I believe it was not my friend, but the neighbor of my friend had built the fence. And I want to say quite legitimately, it was less than a foot off onto my friend's property. You know what my friend did? Drove his tractor down the fence line and destroyed it. They got into a physical altercation. The neighbor even shoved his wife to the ground.
Drop that motherfucker.
Do you think the neighbor went inside and called the cops?
No.
Do you think the neighbor filed a lawsuit?
No.
The neighbor called his bishop.
Oh.
The neighbor called his bishop.
Stop disrespecting me, bro.
Did they side with my friend? No. Did they side with the neighbor? No. I'm pretty certain that my friend paid for the fence to be replaced because he mowed it over. I'm pretty certain.
Enjoyed that, I might add.
And I don't know what it was. The number that's in my head is $15,000. I'm pretty certain the neighbor who shoved the woman to the ground had to pay the church a penalty of $15,000.
Which I just want to point out, hell of a way to be making profit if you're the church.
You do you.
I'm just pointing that out.
And it led to the neighbor putting his house on the market and moving. And you know where he moved? 3 houses down across the street.
Oh.
I am not kidding you. Nobody ever called the cops. They called their bishop,
It is wild.
who mediated it.
What are you, the Pac-12?
And came to a conclusion. The guy sold his house and moved down the street.
Stay hard.
We're not talking about the University of Utah. That's what I'm trying to explain.
With all due respect.
Let's see. BYU football. I don't think Jake plays this year no matter what the lawyer says. I think that's exactly right. And I want to tell you, Jake and I are not personal friends. He was on our show. You know him a little bit more because you guys texted all the time, but I don't know Jake Retzlaff personally other than what we've done on this show and what people who know him personally at school have told me. My opinion is I can't believe that he's guilty of what he's accused of.
Yeah, and I would share that opinion.
I would be stunned.
Now, I have to, in fairness to the conversation, say we've seen crazier things happen.
Yes,
right?
we have.
I mean, I
you,
think
you don't know who anybody is.
Yeah, I think what's really difficult, and again, I wouldn't be saying this unless these accusations had come out, but what's difficult is that you never really know who somebody is until something happens. And, thankfully for most guys, nothing happens, right?
Yeah,
most guys,
that's right.
They go through their journey, they play football, they do their thing. And, this stuff doesn't typically happen. But, I will say, in Jake's defense, I think a lot of people have come out and said, like, this is shocking, not from the standpoint of the allegations are heinous, which they are, but more so that, nobody around BYU football that I know of has known Jake to be this guy. So
I've talked to current and former players, and everybody raves about him.
So, this would definitely be, and again, it's civil, so it's not an innocent guilty thing.
That's right.
But But just for the sake of conversation, if it were ever to come out that they had evidence, let's say, or proof, or video of some kind that showed him doing stuff like this, that just would be one of the most, honestly, that for me, and I'm not even a BYU fan. We just obviously cover BYU. That would be one of the most shocking things I've ever seen.
I couldn't believe it. Welcome to the Nightmare, who's been a member for 22 months. Come on, Skippy.
My bad.
That's one hell of a revenue stream you got there.
Dude,
going Mormon Church.
Is that not? How do we just skip over that, dude?
But that's
come on.
Hey, I don't judge him for that. You do you, bruh. I'm not judging you for that.
For cheeseburgers and diners, Monty.
Right? It's wild to me. Gotta stand by the kid if no DNA. Are you out of your? You clearly are out of your depth.
You have no idea.
No.
That's just not an accurate statement.
Good coaching staffs always have a number 2 quarterback ready to step in. BYU, and
I don't disagree.
I think that's true. Yeah,
I don't disagree with that, but it's important to say that this is not about BYU football per se. I understand why everyone wants to do who's up next and what's the team do? Dude, we have time.
Yeah,
we have time. All of the clickbait reaction to, oh my God, is BYU going to be okay? I really don't care.
It's inconsequential. It quite literally has,
dude.
And that's why when you say stupid shit like lots of players given a free pass, like you're out of your mind.
Yeah.
You have no idea what you're talking about. Players don't get a free pass at BYU.
No,
it does not work that way. You don't. No, you don't, Loner. DNA isn't a magic bullet. DNA makes him guilty or innocent. It just proves, doesn't make him guilty or innocent. It proves he was there. That's exactly right. And I would remind you, they were in his apartment, allegedly. So, yeah. No criminal charges. That tells me he's innocent of assault. You have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah.
That is, and this is what's dangerous. When you have people who don't understand. To make a statement like no criminal charges tells me that you don't know what you're talking about. Do you know how many guilty people never get charged because there's no evidence? And I'm not saying that Jake is guilty. In general, in violent crime, do you understand how many people never get charged because he threw the gun in the river, because they didn't do a rape kit in time, because you just don't know what you're talking about. Joseph Harper, Trevor Bauer won his lawsuit. And how did he win his lawsuit? He got a pit bull and they got aggressive.
And but that's true. But I don't think, Harper, that's what you're referencing. Today, Trevor Bauer got a $310,000 judgment, essentially, because his accuser broke the agreement that she agreed to with the court in terms of paying him what she owed him.
Correct.
And so Bauer had asked for some protections with that because he felt like she was going to break that agreement. And one thing led to another, and she broke the agreement. So now she owes him, I believe the number was $309 and change.
I can't remember what it was. But again, the Trevor Bauer situation, you guys, is so just significantly different. It's not even...
I think there is a chance.
It's not even a conversation.
Yeah, overall, it's completely different, right? Obviously, no honor code, no BYU. Like
That's exactly right.
That alone makes it completely different. But one shade of the Bauer thing that I think could, at the end of this whole thing, if we ever get details come out, is his interaction, Jake's interaction with the accuser over Instagram. Here's
the filing. Where it talks about Trevor Bauer getting $309,832. The court reviews the submitted default judgment packet and rules as follows. The substantial default judgment is signed and filed this date. So she now owes him $310,000.
Yeah.
The thing that I hope people understand, Jake Retzlaff is not being judged by a law or a set of laws. He is being judged by a church and a doctrine and a theology, which is, dare I say, far more punitive than the judicial system. because this is, and I don't know it to be fact. I want to make sure that people understand. My opinion is he'll never play football at BYU again. That's my opinion. And I think he will withdraw to focus on his personal life.
The question I have is, will he ever, when this is said and done, have an opportunity at the NFL? Because he's NFL quality, like as a player, but just don't know if that'll ever happen for him now.
I don't think there's any doubt he has the ability.
Yeah.
That's what sucks about this whole thing. It's what, in the Trevor Bauer case, I can't get away from the fact that these guys put themselves in the jackpot. These guys put themselves in situations. And I've heard from so many BYU fans who are like, you're telling me a young man in the prime of his life can't message with a woman on social media? No, he can't.
And again, that's just selling the situation so short.
And it's not even that he messaged with a woman on social media. What you can't do is message with her, have her show up to your apartment when you're having a party. Allegedly, he messaged with this woman on social media. She came to his apartment. She brought a friend with her because it was the first time they were meeting.
Yeah.
And then allegedly everybody left. And according to the lawsuit, the woman and Jake Retzlaff were in that apartment alone. And if that's all we ever find out, Jake Retzlaff bears a significant amount of responsibility for his actions. And I don't mean the alleged sexual assault. Being alone in an apartment with a woman you've known for less than a day, hours, in fact. Yeah, I'm going to say that's not the smartest thing to do for the starting quarterback at BYU.
And again, it is allegedly, right? I
yes.
mean, it is allegedly.
Yes.
And I think what's difficult here is that, again, the lack of evidence so that we know, right? Again, that the public knows about. There could be a treasure trove of digital evidence based on cell phone locations, and they have the ability to see, hey, how long was her phone at your place? From this time to that time, did it ever leave and come back? Like they can see all of that. So they already have pieced together the puzzle, and I'm just saying, if you can prove at a minimum that she was in his residence
alone,
it's over, dude.
They're not married. They'd known each other for hours. That's an honor code violation.
Yeah, you're done, dude. I'm sorry, man. Like it just, and I agree. And I've seen all the people calling us assholes and terrible people, and we're awful.
Nobody questions any of that.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm just a tier 1 asshole for saying that Jake Retzlaff, and dude, love you as a player, bro, but you made a mistake here. The moment,
tremendous lapse in judgment.
And I can say this as a dude, right? You don't have to be a football player for this to be true. As dudes, we all have those choices in moments where we're like, okay, should I or should I not take this opportunity to be alone with this girl? We've all done this. We've all had this opportunity multiple times for a lot of guys. And all I'm saying is, as a football player at BYU, you can't do that, bro. You cannot do that. And obviously, as any male at BYU, you can't do that, but it just compounds the issue when you're the starting quarterback at BYU, when you have this responsibility, this sort of, calling to be more than just the average student. If you're the starting quarterback at BYU, you are a very public figure. Right? You are someone who is supposed to be representing the values of the honor code, regardless of if you are part of the LDS, LDS faith or otherwise. And obviously we know Jake is not, but the fact that you're the quarterback, the starting quarterback at BYU, comes with an inherent set of guidelines and essentially a rule book to abide by. And again, I have to say, bro, not only would I never have a woman into my residence if I was at BYU. I would never be alone with a woman. I would not have female friends over to my house, even if my teammates were allegedly there, according to the accusations. I would not be doing any of that. What, you can't go to a diner? You can't Jim Harbaugh this thing?
But
come on, dude.
What my point is, I don't care if you play at BYU or not. You've known her for hours. And you're going to be alone with her in your apartment?
It's foolish. It's foolishness.
And it's because, and I'm not trying to take this too far, it's because it's this Caitlin Clark thing. This is,
okay,
I
how
think
so?
We all look at Caitlin Clark, and this story makes me crazy. Caitlin Clark is, in this photo, said to be thirst trapping over her teammate, Sophie Cunningham, who Jake and I know quite well.
Mm-hmm.
We actually played in basketball games with her.
And give Sophie credit, right? I'm happy
she
to say
is
her
a
glow up has been incredible.
She
as
is
a basketball player.
On a scale of 1 to 10, she's a 37.
Yeah, she's doing great for herself.
She is smart.
Yeah.
She is beautiful. She is taking advantage of her stature.
As she should.
But you have a picture of Caitlin Clark looking at Caitlin, or Caitlin looking at Sophie Cunningham.
Oh, I mean, sorry, Nelly Korda at one point.
And there's a Nelly Korda picture that's out there as well. I don't think we have it, but there's a Nelly Korda picture out there as well where Caitlin Clark, who is a avid golfer, is standing behind Nelly Korda looking at her. And so what do you think the first thing all the hyenas are saying?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well, Caitlin's a lesbian. She is physically attractive, like whatever it is that goes through your mind. Caitlin Clark's had a boyfriend for years. So clearly not somebody that, but yet what do we do as men? We sexualize it. So when you're alone in an apartment with a woman and that woman cries foul, who's getting the benefit of the doubt there?
Yeah, and listen, I need to say this too. I think that as men, and I don't care how old you are, over the 18, however young, over the age of 18 as an adult.
Yep.
Anytime you're alone with a woman, you know what the objective is. I'm sorry. That's what it's going to be assumed, is that you chose to be alone with a woman for certain purposes.
Things happen.
Yes.
And I would agree that when you are in your young 20s and you are in peak physical condition,
and
it's
you're
why
from
they're
California, not from Utah.
It's why there's so much sex in the Olympic Village.
Yes.
I totally get it. But do you have no forethought to your paycheck? Do you have no forethought to your future? Have you not at all considered the fact that you at that time were a year and 7 months, I guess, at that point away? That was last Thanksgiving.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So you were a year and 7 months away from this going public. And now you are out of control. Your future is not yours anymore. You've lost control of your destiny. And I wish men would think about that.
Now, here's what I have trouble with when it comes to Jake. I feel like this is a guy that's done NIL deals. This is a guy that has done some business in his time. And I'm sitting here when this story first came out. One of the first things I thought of was, hold on a second. This guy never came across to me as like a meathead, just a
anything
dumb,
but
like football player who
he's an intellectual.
Yeah, he's really smart and really
well thought out.
Yeah, like he's able to identify situations and talk to people and so part of me was like, dude, you can't tell me that Jake Retzlaff honestly sat there and said, yeah, this is a good idea. You can't. So my next thought was, and again, I'm just speculating my opinion, not factual, but my next thought was, hey, well, what else is at play here? I mean, what would have impaired his judgment to the point where he thought that this was okay? If this even happened, I might add, if it even happened, because I don't think we can definitively say that this actually happened. I think all we know is that there something between him and this girl happened, whether that was she didn't get something she wanted and she's leveraging him, or this did actually happen. That's what's difficult here.
And again, I just hope that you'll talk to your kids about sex. I know it's uncomfortable. I know it is. I know it's not something that a lot of people like doing, but I am a passionate believer in it. I think Trevor Bauer is playing in Japan at this point. and not the major leagues. And he just got a $300,000 settlement today. And he's not still going to be in the major leagues, even though very clearly he did not. That incident very clearly did not happen the way she claimed it did. But he's lost his career and his legacy over it.
Yep.
And Jake Retzlaff is unfortunately, in my opinion, going to be no different. Will he play in the NFL? I have no idea. But if he settles that case,
if it ever comes out that he paid her for her silence, it's over.
Ugh.
It's over. BYU is the least of his problems.
I don't know how you ever get away from it. And that's the worst part about being a guy worth money. And at that point, he was not. He was, again, 0-4 at the time this happened. This was in Thanksgiving of 2023.
This was the following of the Keaton Slovis situation.
0-4, didn't perform well as a starter. Remember, he had, I think, his appendix out, and 0-4 as a starter. Goes on, obviously becomes a superstar at BYU. Now he's ready to go to the next level this season, and boom. That bad decision you made 17 months ago is coming back to haunt you. It's the reality of her 16 months ago is coming back to haunt you. It just, excuse me, the whole thing sucks,
dude.
It sucks.
It's
it sucks for everybody. It sucks for the girl. It sucks for Jake. It sucks for BYU. It sucks for the BYU football team. It sucks for BYU fans. You know. All right, couple more comments on this because then we do, I do want to get to Texas State, which and
eventually we'll get to the Knicks.
Does this remind you too of Duke lacrosse or not? It does not. That case was so outlandish. And David, you're not the only one who's brought this up, but having been in the national media when that case went down, it was so over the top. I mean, it was so over the top. And it does, the punter whose name,
Matt Ariza.
Yeah. It's more similar to that. But that case with Duke lacrosse was so outlandish and so over the top and so terrible. It just mismanaged and mishandled by everybody involved except those lacrosse players.
Yeah.
I more look at, like Juicy Smollett making up allegations of assault, or Trevor Bauer. Because the sad part is, this is my opinion. My opinion is, I think they probably had sex. I think it's I can't imagine a woman. And maybe it's clearly possible.
Right.
I can't imagine a woman from Salt Lake City of this age putting herself through like a rape kit. Her name's going to come out and she is going to get wrecked. I can't imagine her doing that if she was never there. Because I've seen all the BYU people DMing me saying, well, she was never there. Bro, she says she was there and her cell phone was dead. They will have cell phone data that puts her there.
Yeah.
So the idea she was never there, that doesn't resonate with me.
There's
it doesn't,
clearly evidence to put her there.
In my opinion, her friend would have to also, the conspiracy theory that would have to take place for her to never have been there, then to prove she was, it's impossible. All the teammates, the people at the party, the cell phone data, the friend, my opinion is that Jake Retzlaff met a woman on social media. My opinion is she went to his apartment. I think my guess is, I don't know this to be fact, but my opinion is they had a sexual encounter. I have no idea what this woman's sexual background or experience is. Maybe she had shame over sending her friend away, allegedly, because her friend left her there. Her friend went home. Maybe she had some shame over that. I don't know. My opinion is, because I still can't put myself in a place where I can see Jake Retzlaff heinously and violently choking somebody choking her to unconsciousness. But the next time we see somebody that's embarrassed or anxious about a sexual encounter, that's the only thing that I can say reasonably makes sense to me. And I feel bad saying that because it puts this woman in a terrible light. So I'm not even that comfortable saying that, but I can't put myself in a place where you were heinously, violently, and sexually attacked, and there's no actionable evidence, and you got a rape kit. And what did I tell you the day before the Provo police made that statement? It doesn't make sense to me that a police department is going to put itself in federal crosshairs to cover up a sexual assault for BYU. And so it made no sense to me that there were no criminal charges filed because a rape kit was done. And if Jake Retzlaff had done what she accused him of, I believe there was a bite mark. I believe there were choking bruises on her throat and on her thighs.
Yes.
He reached for a condom. Where is that condom? Where is it? The phone charging thing makes no sense to me.
Nope.
But then again, I'm not a woman. I have no idea what goes through a woman's mind because in this country, women are victimized on a regular basis. I have no idea what a woman would be going through in that situation. Again, let's play the what if game. Believe her chapter and verse, every detail. A big, strong football player has violently sexually assaulted you. You wake up and he is asleep, snoring. That's how you know he's asleep. I believe according to the filing, it says she heard him snoring. You're not running for the door? I'm out. I'm getting a weapon or I'm getting out. One of the two.
And let me also raise the question on that point. Why has it been a year and a half? What was the impetus for this to come out on a Wednesday?
In the middle of the summer, when Jake has just come back from a religious pilgrimage, and he's on BYU TV that day talking about that religious pilgrimage.
What happened? And that's why I'm saying that everyone's focused on whether the assault took place or not. And what I'm telling you, you should be focused on is their communication before, because we don't know.
I need the DMs.
We don't know the level of communication here and the level of familiarity, right? I mean, if this was somebody that, Jake had been talking to for a while,
we had heard what we've heard is weeks. It's weeks.
Yeah, it's a weeks in the lawsuit.
And they had been trying to get together, and it just their schedules had not aligned.
Because allegedly she lived up in Salt Lake, and obviously he was in Provo.
He was a football player, practice games. There's this window at Thanksgiving where they were able to have a party at his apartment. She got invited to the said party, brought her friend. It just doesn't math to me.
Yeah.
It doesn't. If I brought my friend to a home, and again, I am not a woman, it's hard for me to comprehend. If I'm a woman going to a football player's party, I'm bringing a friend because the only reason that I can draw reasonably that you would bring a friend is because you were insecure about the environment.
Mm-hmm.
Why would you send her away, or why would you be there alone? Wasn't the point not to be there alone in the first place? Okay, well, then that tells me that you got comfortable enough. And again, I am drawing a huge guess here, but it just doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't make sense to me. It just doesn't. It doesn't make sense to me. And I don't know. This is why I don't agree with the current standard on social issues, Monty. Too many liars and hucksters. Which one's a liar and a huckster? Because one of these two people, Jake Retzlaff or Jane Doe, is lying through their teeth. She is dead set, filed I remind you, filed these allegations in court. So she perjured herself, or on the other side, Jake Retzlaff says he's factually innocent, which is a weird legal phrase to use here, but he's factually innocent. Which one of them is lying? You know what? We'll never know because it's going to settle.
Which, again, I just don't know that even is best case for Jake.
Yeah. It's not. It just is not. I don't know. I don't know. Boyd Lake, she wouldn't tell police who did it, so how would they check scratches? I don't. And my point here is, she eventually did tell the police, she claims, and she claims the police said, yeah, victims of sexual assault never get justice.
Come on.
Which does not math to me. No police department, no, because it's not even the cops who would tell you that. You have special prosecutors, you have special support staff and people specifically trained in these scenarios. And a police, because Provo is not a small town. I really hope people understand that.
But it gets characterized as one.
Provo, Utah is not a small town. That is a legitimate enclave. And it doesn't math. It does not math. And it just, you know.
Mm-hmm.
David says that was a serious question. I don't know what to think. Nobody knows what to think. Talk to your kids about this.
Yeah.
Please.
It's a cautionary tale.
Not your sons and daughters, your kids. Don't send, if you're going to go to a party with a boy that you're smitten with or that you think you have interest in, bring a friend and don't leave alone. Don't be left alone. You go when that friend says it's time to go or when you guys are ready to leave. What was this girl thinking being alone in this guy's apartment when they had met just moments ago? You can't do it. You can't do it. Loner phone, I'm not going to read your comments because you're just so, bro, you don't know this woman. You don't know this woman. Calling, insulting. You guys, as men, we have to stop doing this. Stop insulting the accuser. If you want to go after the woman that accused Trevor Bauer, okay, she's been proven by a judge's own words. Stop with this. She's a Jane Doe. She's a young woman. We don't know what happened. If you want to question why she didn't run when he was snoring, I'm with you. If you want to question, hey, there's no evidence in that rape kit that they could act on. Okay, I'm with you. Let's be better than that.
Yeah.
Be better than that. I'm not going to read your comments. I'm not going to read your comments. Eric, once you enter his couch bed, you give consent. No, you do not.
No, you do not.
No, you do not. They also film practice and may be able to determine facts from that. Could be. What was Jake's mental state in the days immediately after that? Teammate, coach, friend, family. You have to ask, right? When will BYU make a stance? They'll never make a stance. BYU will never talk about this again. They will never talk about this again.
If there's anything that BYU and the church are good at, it's handling the narrative and being super committed to how they want to go about it.
In my opinion, if Jake Retzlaff never plays at BYU again, he will withdraw to deal with his personal issues off the field. And we're not going to have any comment on it because Jake's no longer a student here. So we have no comment on it. That's exactly what BYU would do, in my opinion, and what they should do. Because what good does it come to talk about that? You know, like Eric, spoken like a true incel. I'm telling you, Eric, bro, that was a low-key concerning comment. Like, wow, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, like, what are you doing, dude?
Yeah. Let's move on. Because it really bothers me that as men, we think that we can determine what a woman was thinking
or feeling.
I mean, I think you have to look at it both ways. If she was, again, take her word for it. Let's pretend that everything this woman said was factually accurate and it happened just as she described it. She's the victim of a heinous sexual assault where she was knocked unconscious. I think she said it was so painful she passed out. She lost consciousness. Maybe she wasn't thinking properly. And I need to call somebody, but I don't have a cell phone. Now, if you're thinking clearly, you're not going to care about using your own cell phone. My guess would be that you would either think to hit record on your camera while it's charging, or you would just run out and pound on the neighbor's door, or go get away any way you can. Go get a knife out of the kitchen or whatever.
Yeah.
He's snoring. Hit him with a lamp off the nightstand. She didn't do any of that. But then again, what would we do? I have no idea.
No idea.
I have no idea. And that's the scary part. So I just again ask you, talk to your kids about this. Talk to your kids about Trevor Bauer. Talk to your kids about Jake Retzlaff. Funny enough, I asked a kid I went to Ruth's Chris Steakhouse, and one of the best amateur golfers in the state happened to be working that night. And we were talking about, because at Ruth's Chris Steakhouse, the Park City Municipal Golf Course, which is one of the best munis in the country, in my opinion, is on the grounds right there. Like, it's out the window. And this kid and I were talking about, he's like, yeah, all I do is golf and I work. And I love to golf and I'm doing this and I'm looking at this school. I said, hey, have you heard about the Jake Retzlaff situation? He said, no, I haven't. And I said, go look it up. Because he expects to go D1 or go through Q school. He's that good of a golfer. Like, talk to your kids about this.
Yeah.
Hugely important. All right, let's move on, because I do want to get real quick to this Texas State story, because I feel like we owe Texas State fan a chance to air their stuff out. Because if you get in the YouTube comment sections on the YouTube TV, Texas State fan lost their mind over what we talked about on this show yesterday. And I simply asked the question, do you believe that Texas State moves the needle for the Pac-12? And I talked to many TV people about this. I've asked TV people multiple times. And I have been told by television sources at just about every network, Texas State is inconsequential. Other than the fact it extends travel in the Pac-12 footprint, it is not a university that is going to draw significant TV dollars. And most television people don't even know of Texas State. Like, hey, is it a good football program? Are they a lacrosse school? Do you go there to play great chess? They have no idea. And that's the issue. However, adding Texas State to the Pac-12 makes sense because it gives you that 8th full member, right? And that allows you to move forward and grow. But I continue to tell you, in this situation with the Pac-12, you can't simply keep adding warm-blooded bodies because you need them. You have to, at some point, find a way to add somebody who can give you leverage. Because the only leverage, and I know that Pac-12 fans will lose their mind over this, the only leverage that the Pac-12 has over the Mountain West is Boise State. Because, frankly, when we look at the numbers, and we went over this yesterday, and in the comment section, please get into it. Who on this graph right here, who on this graphic, are you like, wow, yeah, holy cow, that's where the huge TV audience is? Because I can tell you it's not Colorado State. It's not Fresno State. It is certainly not Oregon State or Washington State right now. And it's not San Diego State, and it's absolutely not Utah State. Utah State's invisible in the state of Utah, let alone across the West Coast. It's Boise State. That's the brand. That's the one. And if you are the Mountain West, you have that in UNLV. UNLV, who Pac-12 fans on the show yesterday and in the comments section took to trashing and saying that, oh, UNLV sucks. And okay, then why were you so desperate to get them from the Mountain West? UNLV sucks and they're nothing, but you were desperate to get them. Well, because UNLV doesn't suck. UNLV is a really good partner. UNLV resides in the sports and entertainment mecca of the West Coast, I would remind you. where, I don't know, the Big Ten's having its media day, and the Big 12 and the Mountain West Conference is relocating to Las Vegas. Obviously, you have the two premier brands now split up in different conferences with Boise State and UNLV. Basketball, different conversation. I think Gonzaga is a great get. I think Grand Canyon coming in is a great get. But when we're talking about revenue generation, it is largely football. So when you bring Texas State into the Pac-12, is it going to make them significantly more money than they're making now? Probably not. So should we expect them with higher costs at Texas State? Should we expect them to compete at a higher level than they are right now? Probably not. So can Texas State consistently win big games, contend for a college football playoff spot? Because those are the only two ways they are going to drag TV viewership off of Austin, Texas, and DKR, which I don't know if you guys saw or not, but the ESPN FPI for 2025 and 26 came out today. Anybody see who the number one team is? Well, that'd be the Texas Longhorns.
Stay hard.
So you're probably not taking bodies out of DKR. And San Antonio's not a great college football market. I'm going to guess you're not going to be able to go up to Lubbock and poll. And I'm going to guess you're not going to be able to go down to Houston and poll. San Marcos, Texas isn't a huge TV market. So I would love it in the comments section. And Texas State fan, the floor is yours. Feel free to tell me how I'm so wrong about Texas State. The problem, Jake, is I don't think I'm that far off.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't think you're that far off. And I think, the obvious issue here is that, Pac-12 fan is emotional and Texas State fan is emotional, and, emotions tend to get people all fired up. And, I just think, not to repeat everything he just said, but I think all of those reasons are valid. And I think that, the Pac-12, I still will die on the hill of, has to prove that they can become a reliable and tenured conference again. They have to prove that, hey, at playing the level at this game, not the power level, you still know how to pay your bills and make your members money and do those things. And I just think that that's not a foregone conclusion. I don't think that that's all of a sudden just a book it, rubber stamp. Oh, yeah, they're going to be just fine. I think that they are the furthest thing you can be from just fine right now. And again, it needs to be said because we get so much flack in the comments section about this. I don't have some big dog in this fight. I don't have we're talking about the Mountain West and the Pac-12 with all due respect. We're not talking about the SEC and the Big Ten. We're not talking about the Big 12. So for me, I'm just sitting here saying, look, man, you look at the future path, you look at, what these conferences have to do to get to a good spot. And it's obvious. It's not even a hot take, I don't feel like, to say that the Pac-12 has more to do. And I think the road is more difficult. I mean, you're literally sitting here trying to die on the hill that your conference is adding Texas State. Good luck with that. Honestly, good luck with that. So that's why I say, no, you're not far off. Yes, Pac-12 fan and Texas State fan are incredibly emotional and say outlandish things all the time. And I just think that the conference is desperate to do whatever it can do to try to get back into existence, which, again, I'm still telling you is not just a foregone conclusion.
Well, and I also point out that, and again, I have a lot of love for Texas State fans. It's not possible for me to hate Texas State, which is what everybody was saying. It's not possible for me to hate the Pac-12. There isn't a reason. What you guys want to do is adjudicate whether or not it's a quality institution. Hey, our academics are amazing. Hey, that's all true. I don't disagree with you. We're having a conversation about business and money. The business of college football, especially specific to the Pac-12, is they need TV money and they need ammunition and leverage to get TV networks to pay them more money because Texas State's in the conference now. And I'm telling you, that doesn't exist. And we can look at how many times have we heard, oh, well, Monty, the Mountain West now's the WAC. What conference does Texas State play in? Don't they play in the Sun Belt? And are you really going to tell me that the Sun Belt somehow now is this amazing juggernaut of a conference where we're getting a Sun Belt team?
Stay hard.
You can't have it both ways.
Mm-hmm.
This is not a personal attack on Texas State. This is not a personal attack on San Marcos, Texas. The bottom line is San Marcos, Texas on its own do you really think that what's an equivalent? Do you really think UTSA is going to be outdrawn by Texas State? Right? I'm not even certain that UTSA is going to deliver you San Antonio. You're looking at, and I think one of the bigger issues is the University of Texas is a Goliath of college football, right? They're not the best team in Texas. They're arguably the best team in the entire country. So when we talk about, well, they're close to Austin, what does that have to do with the price of tea in Istanbul? Nothing. Texas State is a great university. The Bobcats, it's a strong athletic department for a Sun Belt team. And what did all the Texas State fans? We took Arizona State to the limit. Okay. So you guys went undefeated outside of Arizona State, right? No, you didn't. You're not Boise State, you're not Utah and Boise State way back in the day, the BCS busters, and that's not who you are. My point in all of this is to say the Pac-12 needs a warm body, and Texas State, boom, you're gonna slot into that. But is it exponentially more money? Is it exponentially more opportunity? No, it is not. No, it is not. And I have no cross to bear with Texas State fan or all of you that were so certain. Like, I cannot tell you how many comments are like, you just hate Texas State. Have you thought about the things that come out of your mouth, sir? When you say I hate Texas State, ask yourself, why? Well, why would he hate Texas State?
I don't know either.
I have no idea why.
I don't know either.
I could not tell you why I hate Texas State because I don't.
You have to be nice to stupid people.
Right? Like, it to me, it's an irrelevant university in the grand scheme of power and G5 football. It does
first, you're last.
It does not. Texas State, in my opinion, does not belong as somebody that brings a solution to the Pac-12's problems, because it does not. It does not. And all of the people who are like, oh, well, you've never even been to San Marcos, Texas. Fucking right. I've never been there. Never been there. Been to San Antonio. Been to Houston.
Dallas.
Been to Dallas. Never been to San Marcos, Texas. My bad.
Monty, how could you miss on San Marcos?
But does that change my argument? Because I've never been to San Marcos, Texas. Does it change my argument that you guys at Texas State do not ultimately solve the biggest problem that the Pac-12 has, which is drawing a larger annual television distribution deal? The money that you are going to get. Does Texas State bring you to $10 million per school per year? No, it does not. It doesn't. Doesn't mean they suck. Doesn't mean they're terrible. Doesn't mean any of that. It just quite simply means you add Texas State to the Pac-12, you're still not at $10 million a year.
No.
So don't internalize it. Don't take it personally. It is what it is. That's all I'm saying. Let's see. Texas State fanatics. Boosted merchandise sales due to increased fan engagement from Texas State's passionate regional support. Well, goddamn, you sold more Bobcat jock straps.
Man.
What does that have to do with anything, bruh? Like, and I appreciate you're here. Texas State fanatics, expanded bowl game invitations. That's not coming to you. That is not coming to you. Austin, San Antonio market brings in fresh advertising dollars. Sure. So if UT or UTSA were in this conversation, we could have that. San Marcos does not deliver that. It does not deliver that. And I wish that it did. But in what world do you live that you think Austin, Texas on a Saturday afternoon during football season is like, all right, Bobcats, here we go. Hook 'em, Bobcats. Yeah, I'm going to say that's, and looking at the TV data from such, like and in
such as in like
stuff, it does not deliver that. You don't deliver that. And again, if you were UTSA, and I would make the argument if UTSA and the Bobcats, Texas State were going together, okay, maybe now we have an argument. There's some regionality there. I think San Antonio is probably 2 million, 2.5 million people.
Mm-hmm.
But you're not doing that. UTSA football is functional and actually relevant. I think they were 7-6 last year. UTSA was 4-4 in conference, 7-6 last year. And I'm just telling you, when you look at their games, their wins were Kennesaw State. I beat Kennesaw State last year. Houston Christian, Florida Atlantic, Memphis. They beat Memphis last year. North Texas and Temple. Not great wins, but San Antonio's watching. And I'm just, they beat Coastal in their bowl game, which is great. So I'm just here to tell you, singularly speaking, Texas State does not do that. Joey B, I hate Monty's wardrobe for this show, but I like Jake's colorful golf shirt on a daily basis.
Yeah, see, that's what you're really here for. I know Texas State is super compelling. But my polo shirt selection is what
who doesn't have a rainbow selection of quarter zips in their closet?
Yeah, I mean, come on, dude. I mean, it is a seasonality issue. I mean, in the wintertime, the quarter zip game has to be on point, but it's summer right now. You got to get the polo out. Come on.
I wore a polo shirt yesterday. I wore a blue polo shirt last week, and everybody all of a sudden said that I was
Monty the Smurf,
That's the other funny thing that came out of all these Texas State comments. Oh, you guys are just Utah fans. Oh, you guys are a Big 12 show. Oh, you guys just hate the Pac-12. Oh, you guys hate the Mountain. Like, we hate everybody, and we like everybody.
But one of the buddies in the comments section, one of the randoms in the comments section was like, you should call this the Monty Mountain Show. Okay, dude. Sure, because that's what this is.
Oh, this one's even better. Boosted ticket sales. Adding Texas State fan base will increase attendance and drive higher.
Now, I know that I was born last night, or I was born at night. It wasn't last night, dude. You're not boosting ticket sales, bro.
So your belief here is that you think Texas State fans are going to travel to Pac-12 games and they're going to sell so many more tickets that we've got to get Texas State because they're Bro, you guys only average 21,184 fans a game. And that was a 32% increase year over year. So, and your opinion is that you get 21,000 fans at home and you think that 21,000 fan base is going to go travel to Pac-12. You think 21,000 fans are pilgrimaging to the Palouse or Corvallis or Fresno to go see Texas State at Fresno State? Come on, dude. Like you're being obtuse. I've actually been to Texas State games. Of course you have.
Here we go.
Okay,
Man.
the resident.
What would I do without you?
The resident TCU fan, Horny James. I had a lot of fun, and the barbecue was really good. You're not going to talk to us about their administrative building?
Yeah, their ops building.
I would love to see Boise State or Oregon State at Texas State. I mean, Boise can't wait to make the pilgrimage to San Marcos.
I mean, who wouldn't want to go to San Marcos? I mean, come on.
Yeah. Joey B. Colorado State raised my season ticket prices in football and basketball in lieu of the Pac-12 stuff. It's ridiculous. So, But again, you guys are going to be making so much more money in the Pac-12, and you get to go to glorious San Marcos, Texas, which I actually think is probably beautiful. I don't know. But aren't you willing to pay double the ticket prices? Because now Texas State fans are going to come in and fill your stadium up. I mean, right? And stuff. Yeah. Oh, increased recruitment exposure. Bro, do you really think? And see, this is the stuff that I just can't You really think, again, Boise State, you really think Boise State's like, well, hot damn, we can go recruit Austin now.
Yeah.
Do you really think they're not recruiting Austin, Texas, and San Antonio and Houston and every other corner of that state already?
Well, get your facts straight.
Hello? I love this argument. Well, it's increased recruiting exposure.
Because they're not trying to recruit there already? Or like, what
do you know how much money every team spends to recruit in Texas? And you really think, well, hey, Monty, now we're in the Pac-12.
Well, Monty, it's actually the Pac-8 right now. You know, we've had some difficulties.
And just to extrapolate a little further, you think Texas State fans going to be thrilled when Jimmy, the best quarterback in San Marcos, Texas, is now playing football at Boise State? That's what you're literally saying. Well, now you're in the state. Now you can recruit the state of Texas. This was SMU. Well, SMU brings the Dallas recruiting ground to the ACC.
Yeah, 50-gallon hats, Monty.
Hey, bro, do you really think Florida State wasn't recruiting Dallas already? Yeah, they probably. That's a good point there, Marty.
Oh,
recruiting.
Come on now, bro.
Come on now. I am amazed at just how myopic this is. I mean, it is remarkable to me. It is. Texas State fan, you're doing yourself an injustice by trying to make the argument that Texas State delivers Texas football recruiting, because it does not. Any program in this conference is trust me, the one thing you can say about the Mountain West is they recruit their ass off. So anybody that's going to be in the Pac-12 is already recruiting the state of Texas. I mean, come on, man. Why can't we all just get along? Because Texas State fan and every other fan base can't take their emotions out of it. I don't have to get emotionally attached to Texas State or anybody else, because we're talking about logistics and common sense. Meanwhile, Texas State fan says their massive fan base is going to fill up road stadiums.
But Monty, the roller food in San Marcos is just incredible. I mean, that's really what people are here for.
Okie Light, Tulsa recruits Texas better than Texas State.
Oh, you're rolling. Shut your mouth.
Do you have to Tulsa just went winless. Right, but they had the best quarterback in San Marcos, Texas.
And again, Monty, Tulsa's food is absolutely incredible.
I mean, come on. Yeah, but see, God damn it, you keep making my point. Texas State University not only deserves a place in the Pac-12, congratulations, bud.
Quote, deserves a place in the Pac-12.
What are you talking? What exactly do people think the Pac-12 is going to be? What? I agree it's a step up, but a step up to what? You're not getting raw fish. You're getting like week-old cooked fish now. You're not making more money because it's not what you're grossing. I keep trying to explain this to people. It's not what you're grossing. It's what you're netting. You think you're going to make more money in the Pac-12. Help me understand that. You're not making more money in the Pac-12. The travel alone for all of your other sports, your stick and ball sports, as Dr. Ed Scott from Memphis told us, your soccer, you're flying your soccer team commercial from San Marcos, Texas to Seattle, Washington to how is that going to work out on the P&L sheet?
Yeah, you're just making all this money, Monty.
How are you going to pay for, because you're making exponentially more money? You're not. You got to pay for more educational facilitating. You have to pay for more technology. You have to pay for more traveling equipment, more diesel fuel for your football truck. You have a football truck, I would assume. Let all that sink in, dude. I understand you think you deserve something. You don't deserve anything. You deserve what you've earned.
Yep.
Nothing is handed to you. I am amazed that you can't figure out that when you say stuff like Texas State not only deserves a place in the Pac-12, but also warrants more respect for its growing athletic programs. No, it doesn't. Win games, win championships.
You don't deserve respect, bro. You earn respect. Like this argument is so tired.
Yeah. Eric Wasikowski, UTEP, UTSA would be a better combo by far. Monty is keeping Texas State from a Pac Mountain West so they can join the Big 12. That's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah, obviously.
Because we're a Big 12 show now.
Right, apparently. I mean, yeah.
That was awesome. Like all the Texas State fans in the comments said, you guys are just a Pac-12 homer show or a Big 12 homer show and you hate the Pac-12. Right. Okay. It's wild to me. I'm amazed. I'm amazed at the myopic and at the unbelievable level with which people put their universities in, where if you would just take your emotions out of it, and if you would just let people understand that, hey, we're taking an opportunity that's being given to us, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, nothing wrong with it.
Take the opportunity that's been given to you.
Yeah,
because I'm telling you, the money that you are going to have to come up with. Are you going to opt into profit sharing? Are you opting into the house settlement? Because if you're not, what's the point of joining the Pac-12? Ask yourself that question. What is the point of joining if you are not opting into revenue sharing in the house settlement? You can't compete for a college football playoff spot.
Nope.
Do you have the money for roster expansion or contraction? And if it's a shrinking roster, because that's happening. If it's a shrinking roster, how are you going to compete at a higher level with less players? And I would remind you, you're this juggernaut of an athletic program. Do you really think UTSA? Do you really think other programs in the state? Because, now San Marcos, Texas is a recruiting hotbed, according to you guys. You really think that if you're this great juggernaut team, that they're not going to throw more NIL money at one player that you have that would be worth more than your entire collective? I don't think fans think this stuff through. I truly don't think.
It's not a matter of thinking whether they do or not. They don't.
I truly don't think that when fans look at, and Texas State's just the latest example of this. Have you thought at all about how you become successful if you're Texas State? The money and the debt that you are going to incur to make a move because are you just joining the Pac-12 to be an also-ran? You're an also-ran in the Sun Belt, right? Does anybody argue with that? Can you make the argument that Texas State is anything other than an also-ran? And you probably don't know because it's the Sun Belt. Can you really make the argument that somehow, some way, Texas State, who finished 5-3 in the Sun Belt last year, you're telling me that you've earned more respect than Marshall? That's what you're telling me. You've earned more respect than Louisiana, who was 10-4 last year. I'm going to say you haven't. No. And I think when you look at where Texas State is, I don't even disagree that Texas State is growing. I read all kinds of articles about the investments in infrastructure. That's all fantastic. That has nothing to do with the house settlement. Do you know how much more money you're going to have to spend in NIL? Do you guys understand the money that Oregon State and Boise State and Gonzaga spend in NIL? Gonzaga, who doesn't play football, probably outspends you in NIL. Do the math. So when you're getting all uppity about all this stuff, what I'm trying to tell you is you're going to be a feeder program for probably Boise State, and my guess is the second best football team in that conference is likely going to be Colorado State.
Yeah.
You're going to be the win for those guys for however long it takes you to figure out your abacus and your finances. Like, just be realistic about it.
Yeah, you just got to think it all through first, you know.
Horny James, who is a TCU fan. I was there when Texas State just whipped Southern Miss 58-3. They looked pretty good to me. How's John Stone doing? How's Jake Retzlaff doing? All the people that you've minted is amazing.
Sure. Preston Stone.
Or excuse me, I said John Stone. Preston Stone.
The cack.
How's Preston Stone doing? Well, Monty, he's still bent to the left a little bit, but we're working on it.
Still pretty clean cut, though. You know what I mean?
So-called experts.
And Texas State fan who's new to the show, I caution you about being excited about Horny James endorsing your program, because the last guy he put his seal of approval on. Let's get this right. Let me just understand this. Preston Stone cut, not with SMU anymore. Ollie Gordon, who is going to be the greatest running back in the history of college football, DUI, ran a bunch of stairs, and then was undrafted. I should probably stop. Let's do Jake Retzlaff. Jake Retzlaff's going to be the best quarterback in the conference. Civil lawsuit for sexual assault.
Bro, Haas Henry.
Haas Henry's going to be amazing. Great transfer. Had a terrible spring football. Our wide receiver room's the best in the country. But, okay. Bragging about being the 7th best in the state. I know.
Yeah.
Did you did not say they were 7th best in. Stop it. You can't name 7 universities better than.
Stop.
God.
Yeah.
Stay hard.
Yeah.
I am going to give you a free.
What's up, big bro?
I'm going to give you a free pass on that.
This is a new low.
Because you say stuff like, wait, man, you watch your mouth. We're the 7th best university in this state.
This is truly a new level we've reached. Oak State James has never reached this level of foolishness right here. Okay?
BYU because they run Texas.
Okay, so Texas Tech.
Are we going to do this? Texas Tech, TCU, Houston, Rice, UTSA. Do you want me to keep going?
8 ball.
Baylor. That's 7 right there.
Monty.
Texas A&M. I mean, I can keep going.
Wait, did you just list off 8 that are better?
BYU 9.
Yeah, you know.
God, you just go.
Too fucking bad, man.
You just said you were the 7th best team in Texas.
Come on, man.
You can't name 7 schools in Texas.
Yeah, actually watch me. Watch me, dude. Come on, bro.
Tarleton State.
What about Abilene?
Abilene? That's 26.
Just the stalwartness.
Did you really just say you can't?
People will read your positive shit. You don't always have to be negative.
Welcome to the nightmare. Yeah, Texas State isn't even top 10.
Bro.
UTEP. 37.
38.
Bro, like
39.
I sifted through all that.
You make it so easy.
I can't. You really didn't just say there's not 7 better teams.
I said Texas A&M, bro. Right? Like, Stadium guy James Rice is not better than Texas State. Okay, 36.
Our bad. Sorry.
My bad.
Sorry. Yeah. Sorry.
Texas State acting like we're not top 7 is wild.
Oh, no.
Dude, I got to give you credit. This is legitimately one of the dumbest things I've ever heard on YouTube. Honestly.
A good.
Venice Parade.
Like, bro.
Nope.
Pac-10.
Not doing it.
Dude.
Please inform your Texas State fan, the scout team. Please inform Buddy at Texas State, the scout team at UTSA ranks higher.
Bro, what are you doing?
Oh, man. Acting like we're not top 7 is what you're not top 7, dude. You're not. Come on. Okay. Rice is not better. Texas A&M, the Austin College of Typing and Chicken Preparation. See, and this is it, all kidding aside, and Texas State fans and stuff.
Hey, look here, man.
You're making arguments you can't back up. You're having an argument of opinion. I'm having an argument of fact. My biggest, okay, congratulations. No, you're not close. You're the top, you're the 7th best team in the state of Texas. Do you really believe that solves the Pac-12's problems?
No.
Your opinion is that they're going to sell more merchandise. You think that's going to cover the cost of NIL at Texas State, supposedly? No. Oh, well, our fans are going to travel. Your fans don't travel to home games. You bring 21,000 people to the stands at home. How many do you think you will sell 2,000 tickets on the road? Come on. Is Scott Bakula still the quarterback at Texas State? Okay. That is really funny. Welcome to the nightmare. Monty having to retract his previous statement on Rice to make sure they aren't ahead of Texas State in the bottom feeder of Texas schools. I will fight you over Rice. Okay, I'll take brown rice. You can have white. Let's do this. Are you out of your mind? What are we even? Oak State? Sorry.
Dude, James.
Horny
dude,
James.
I haven't seen your comment, but I need to say this. I swear to God, if you lay in bed with Texas State, buddy, on this, if you defend Texas State, I can't help you, dude. I can't help you.
Okay, you can't help them. Texas State is a legit team on the rise. Nobody. Again, who said they weren't? Who said they weren't?
Well, the ops building and the CMS seating that's at Texas State Stadium is absolutely incredible. You know what I mean?
Do you not understand, Marty, that they have their hot dog rollers consistently stay at 164 degrees?
Yummy, yummy, yummy.
You can check it in the first quarter. You can check it in the third quarter. You can check it in overtime. It's going to be 164 degrees.
He has our full respect.
I am sure the hot dog rollers at whatever the hell Texas State Stadium is called are amazing. That doesn't change the fact that they don't move the TV money needle. Nobody's arguing that Texas State sucks.
Jim Wacker Field at UFCU Stadium.
Where them whackers are, doesn't mean that they're not whacking it, because they are. But my point is, you're such a dick for saying that. My point is,
not me. It's the name of the stadium, Bro.
At whacking it field.
At whack off field.
Listen,
Stay hard.
all I'm saying is, I am sure whacking it field is amazing.
Hiscock.
I am sure.
Bro, it's
Yes, David. I did.
Dude.
Well, your team doesn't have a national championship. Yeah, you got a couple 50 years ago. Congratulations. FCS champion, Texas State. That's great. Nobody said the athletic program sucks. Nobody said they're a bad university. Nobody said any of that.
You did say there weren't 7 better teams, though.
That I did. Okay, I did. And I did say I'd take brown rice over. I did say that.
Because shit's going good.
But my point is, none of this argument about how their fan base is massive and it's going to inject energy into traveling stadiums.
At Jim Wacker Field.
None of that brings more TV money. None of it. Because you're not selling more merchandise. And TV networks don't give a rat's ass about your merchandise sales. They don't care.
Gotta be America's team.
They don't care how hot the rollers are at Whacking It Field. They care about selling more Coca-Cola because they advertised on a Texas State game. Anyway, Texas State, Horny James, Texas State plays at UFCU Stadium. And yes, they are in the process of improving it. Considering that 8-ball is still at Baylor, I'd say Texas State is better than Baylor. Okay.
See, now you're trying to work in the 8-ball reference, and I just can't agree with that because I don't know that that's factually true.
Joey B makes a very legitimate question. Is there a Buc-ee's in San Marcos? God damn it.
Monty, the Buc-ee's in San Marcos is absolutely
Horny
lit.
James.
You know?
Horny James is the only one in the audience who is qualified to answer this question. How's the brisket at Buc-ee's in San Marcos? Well, Marty, it just depends on which one you're talking about. Highest attendance game at Wacker Field. Number 6 Houston beating Texas State 64-3.
Oh, no.
Oh, but
Wacker Field.
Tarleton State. I said
play a little game called Just
the Tip. I did say Tarleton State.
Good for you, buddy.
Right? How did we get here?
Because dude's out here hot taking in the comments section about Wacker Field in Texas
Listen
State.
to me, you son of a bitch. You're the 7th best team in that state.
You're a homer is the first part.
Boyd Lake, San Marcos has the biggest Buc-ee's.
Biggest Buc-ee's.
Yeah, I mean, that Buc-ee's is so big, 21,000 fans can fit in there.
Bro.
You know.
I can't help some people, honestly.
Yeah, no. What about North Texas? What about North Texas? Are North Texas is okay. We should,
Next comment.
It's fine. All right. Last one, David Persons. Hey, Texas State is better than the Austin College of Typing and Chicken Preparation. I'll tell you what, they know how to tenderize that meat, boy.
Hey, boy.
boy. I'm a terrible person. I don't even argue it. I read about this. That Whacking It Field did play host to Friday Night Lights. So, somebody has to look this up.
Oh, I win. Google me.
Tell me there are high school teams that have a larger average attendance than Texas State. Because
look at the high school.
Texas State, and this is according to the old Google machine. This is from Texas State Athletics, according to Google AI. 21,184 fans per home game. There are 2 sellouts. The Bobcats have also had 2 sellouts at UFCU Whacking It Field. With crowds of 28,000. Your stadium only fucking holds.
Janus.
Whoa.
28.
Whoa.
Your state. Yeah, I don't know what. Your stadium only holds 28,000 fans. Come on, man. See that? Your stadium holds. I try. Okay. Which is fine. I am sure that that must be a misprint. That must be a misprint. Because doesn't UTSA have like 50,000 seats? That can't be. There's no way it only. Are you serious? Whacking It Field only holds 28,000 fans.
I mean, that's.
What are we even talking
rough,
about?
Bro.
Okay, let's real quick play a game with me called Just the Average High School Attendance. Texas.
I have to play a little game called Just the Tip.
High school attendance. Football. Average Texas football. Let's go over here. High school attendance. State championships can draw larger crowds, often exceeding 40,000. The average attend is 16,496.
The all-time
in the
record,
larger stadiums.
The all-time record for a high school, a high school football game in the state of Texas was at Jerry World in 2013. 54,347 for the state championship game.
Yes, that's at AT&T.
Yeah.
Yeah. But if you look at the average attendance for in the largest division of Texas high school football is 16,500 and change. That's outrageous. But, that's only about 8K more than high school games. That's what I'm saying. Like, are you really telling me that their capacity is 28,000? Wasn't it Allen High School that built that palace of a stadium? Right? I think. Anyway.
Yeah.
I'm telling Texas State's a fine university. You did this to yourself. And I am a villain. You can paint me as a villain. But I did not do this to you. You did this to yourself.
Agreed.
All right. Hour number 2 of the Monty Show, presented by our friends at Prize Picks, prizepicks.com, the official daily fantasy partner of the Monty Show. Let's get into tonight's Prize Picks. Why isn't the Cubs game on, by the way? We're 1-1 in the bottom of the second. The best team in Major League Baseball, the Chicago Cubs. That's a lie. Let's look at Prize Picks tonight. Are you ready to mea culpa on your Tyrese Halliburton's the greatest player I've ever seen?
Nope. No,
You're not.
I'm not doing it. I think that, okay, James, stop DMing me stories during the show, okay? Just stick to the comment section, my guy. No, I'm not. Listen, Tyrese Halliburton definitely didn't finish that series strong. That said, still was one of their main contributors, still a really good player. So say what you want.
Okay, we got the dub tonight. The WNBA. Is she playing tonight? What do you guys feel bad for oh my God, I can't think of her name went right out of my head.
Angel Reese.
Jesus.
No, I don't feel bad.
Do you guys feel bad for Angel Reese that there are entire podcasts dedicated to her missing the first shot of a game?
No, I don't. Maybe you should make more shots.
Prize Picks used to have it. I'm pretty sure, because I'm pretty sure I played it once. Prize Picks used to have where you could pick Angel Reese to miss the first shot of her game. They don't have it, but it's amazing because she almost always misses the first shot.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know how you explain it. I really don't know how. I really don't care. I think it's amazing. I have never heard of Gabby Williams, who is a forward for Seattle. I believe it's the Storm. 13.5 points. More or less. I'm going to have to say.
I don't know.
Which you're not going to go with me on Prize Picks of the W.
No, I can't.
Okay. Fast forward this. It's behind. They're in the second inning. I'm going to say less on Gabby Williams. Now I'm going to go away from the WNBA because I'm out of my depth like I'm Texas State.
Yeah.
The seventh best team in Texas. I'm going to go Major League Baseball. And I have got pitcher strikeouts. Michael Lorenzen against St. Louis, 3.5. Shohei Ohtani tonight. Let's go Shohei. Hits, runs, and RBIs. It's 2.5. I'm going to say he's got the Mets. Who are the Mets pitching tonight? This is where my life has degenerated to. The Mets are throwing. Oh, please. Are you kidding me? They are throwing Tyler McGill. He have a 3.52 ERA and a 4-4 record. We're going to go more on hits, runs, and RBIs for good old Gambler there. I think I like that one a lot. And then I need one obscure pick.
Kershaw.
You
less
can't
than
take
4Ks.
Yeah, you can't take Kershaw.
Less.
You have no idea what you're going to get from him. You're really going to take Kershaw.
Less than 4Ks.
Why not go with Bergert for San Diego against the Giants, who are massively slumping?
About him.
Well, he's 1-0. It's his. I mean, it's his. He's really just getting his feet wet.
Yeah.
I much prefer the Padres. That or Bobby Witt Jr. tonight. And I hate the scumbag Kansas City Royals. I hope they never win another game.
No, you gotta take Jack Caglione if you're going Royals. Kid's on fire. First game in the bigs.
He's a POS though. I honestly, I hope he never gets a hit and his career ends tonight. I think that's what Kansas City sports fans deserve.
Okay.
Jake doesn't want to hear that. Hits, runs, and RBIs on good old Cags.
2.5 total bases on Demon for Cags. I'm taking it.
Why is it a pause projection?
Check out this 3-pick flex play right here. Kyle Schwarber to go deep against Toronto. It's top of the first. Clayton Kershaw, less than 4 pitcher strikeouts.
Oh, I hate that.
And Jack Caglione, more than 2.5 bases, $20 to win 320 on a flex play.
I could get Nico Horner for half a hit runner and RBI for the rest of the game. I'm doing that.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I'm doing that. Let's go. We submitted it. Screw them. Gabby Williams, I've never heard of you, and I have no idea if you're any good. Please come through tonight with 13.5 points less. Do not cash 13.5 points. Shohei the Gambler, 2.5 hits, runs, and RBIs, and Nico Horner, half a run, RBI, or hit for the rest of the game. There you go. Prize Picks, America's favorite daily fantasy app. Make sure you download. Use the promo code Monty, M-O-N-T-Y, Monty, to open a new Prize Picks account. You deposit $5, they'll give you 50 more instantly. Go Cubs! Prize Picks, the official daily fantasy partner of the Monty Show, who reminds you, find our audio podcast friends. If you are somebody that's driving or you hate that you can't play YouTube in the background, find us on audio. You can always listen to the show. Anywhere you get your podcast, just search The Monty Show. M-O-N-T-Y, The Monty Show, whether that is Apple, Spotify, you name it, The Monty Show. It's all good to go on audio. Wherever you get your audio podcast, just search for The Monty Show. A little breaking news before the show that got bumped down because of all the great conversations today. The New York Knicks fired Tom Thibodeau. And I say hooray for Knicks fans. Do you like this move, Jake, or did they make a mistake firing him?
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's easy to say, well, Tibbs has performed and he's gotten them to the Eastern Conference Finals and won some playoff series. And, you know, a lot of people are saying that's why this is a mistake. But I think the reality is, if you look at Tibbs as a head coach and you look at Tibbs over the course of his Knicks tenure, it's been inconsistent. And, you know, the Knicks have spent a ton of money. They obviously are fully bought in and trying to make something happen here in terms of winning a championship. And I just don't think that Tibbs has ever proven to be that guy, whether he was in Minnesota, but now with the Knicks, obviously his time with the Bulls, like there was, you know, a lot of inconsistency, and his teams typically get burned out on his coaching style. Now, I know that it was a nice fit in New York, but all I'm saying is this core that you have is not going to last forever. Right? This grouping of players you have is not going to last forever. And, you know, dudes like Magic Johnson and Stephen A. Smith and all the usual suspects can come out and, you know, and rip Knicks ownership and the Knicks front office and talk about how, you know, they need to come out on video and talk about why they fired Tibbs. The reality of the situation is you didn't win a championship and you got knocked out of the playoffs last year in embarrassing fashion. So I just sit here and I say, I don't think this was a mistake. I think this frees the Knicks up to go out and make yet another good choice. And I agree, there are some conversations around the Mikal Bridges trade and, you know, the value you got for that and, you know, what he did on this particular postseason run. In my opinion, Mikal Bridges has been an unequivocal win as a player for them, dude. The defense he provides, the three-point shooting he provides, he is not a problem for you. The problem is Karl Anthony Towns.
Gotta trade him.
The problem is that he is not enough of a central figure on this team to justify not moving him. And he, in my opinion, is the sole reason that this team struggles, because when Karl Anthony Towns is going well and the three's going in and he's aggressive and, you know, he's a central figure in your offense and he gives, you know, Brunson the ability to get the correct matchup and, you know, forces the defense towards him and away from Brunson, you've got a great offensive scheme. The problem is Karl Anthony Towns is not that guy 70% of the time. You get that 1 out of every 6-7 games probably. Most of the time, Karl Anthony Towns is a soft-ass big who wants to shoot too many threes and doesn't get to the line enough. That's who Karl Anthony Towns has been his entire career. And I like the dude. All zesty jokes aside, he's a damn good basketball player. But he is not a championship caliber basketball player. And I'm sitting here telling you guys that the Knicks have to have a championship caliber big man on that roster. And those are incredibly difficult to find. And I think that you have a nice player in Brunson. I think you have a nice player in Bridges. Josh Hart is a quality grind guy. But you have to get to a place with this roster where it's not Brunson and everybody else most nights. And that's the issue that they face right now.
Yeah, this team wasn't good enough defensively. It was inconsistent. I think Karl Anthony Towns has been a complete waste for the Knicks. My opinion is that Cat is not the kind of player that you need to win a championship because, frankly, I don't think championship teams are built on three-point shooting centers. And I think that's what Karl Anthony Towns is. And if we're being honest, he's not a center. And if you look at the Anthony Davises of the world or, frankly, if you look at the Nikola Jokic's of the world, that's what your big man has to be these days. And Karl Anthony Towns is just not that guy. And I think when you look at this roster, I do believe you have to go all in to win a championship this coming next season or the year after. And that requires you to go and get a Kevin Durant. That requires you to go and get a Devin Booker. That required you to go and get somebody who was a dynamic number two, which I also think the New York Knicks completely lack. They don't have a dynamic number two, and Thibs has never been able to elevate Karl Anthony Towns. He was never able to get OG Anunoby to be a fourth quarter player in this postseason, and he's paying with his job for it. And if you fired Tom Thibodeau, though, you better get Michael Malone. That he better be the next head coach of the New York Knicks. There is no settling in any way, shape, or form. If you are New York, Michael Malone is the target, and that's the only target because there's no other place to go. You didn't fire Tom Thibodeau to go and hire some B-level coach. They said they want championship experience. Well, there's only one guy on the market that's got that. And I think when you look at Michael Malone, that's the dude you got to have.
Yes.
Because who else would you even hire?
And I also might add that I think Mike Malone is Michael.
It's
Malone.
Michael Malone, please.
Michael. I think that he, personality-wise, is perfectly suited to coach in New York. I think that he has no problem, going at it with the media, no problem, telling players what's what and, just being transparent and honest with them.
Yeah.
And playing the game. Yep. And I think that, if you think about why he was let go in Denver, allegedly he was let go because he refused to play younger players that ownership wanted to be getting minutes because he was after a championship and ownership was after building depth. And, I think if you're the Knicks, that's the kind of guy you're looking for. You're looking for a guy that agrees on your trajectory as an organization right now. Because I do think for the Knicks, that question in the head coaching candidate conversation is a real one. The guy you hire has to believe that this team is one player away from being championship caliber.
Is Frank Vogel an option?
I don't think so.
He's won a championship.
Yeah.
Disaster in Phoenix. But what about Mike Budenholzer? More of a disaster in Phoenix, or was that Phoenix? And should that Phoenix situation penalize those two candidates?
I think Budenholzer is a bigger risk than Vogel. I think that his departure out of Phoenix was very heavily scrutinized. And I think that he took some flack for his relationships with players and how he talked to players. And there was a lot of drama, rumor mill happening there. So I think that for him, for Budenholzer, that wasn't great. I think Vogel is a guy that I'm not sure, man. Obviously, Vogel has time in the Eastern Conference, of course. But I don't know. You're the New York Knicks, bro. Like, I think that you need to make sure you get the best candidate. And
what about Dan Hurley? Because that's a name that's already being thrown around.
Yeah,
you can't go rookie head coach. This is not the Blazers hiring Chauncey Billups.
And this is not the Lakers hiring JJ Redick.
You can't do that.
No.
I think in this situation, you better get somebody that's got a ring or rings.
Yeah, I mean, I like Mike Malone a lot. He would be my number one if I was the Knicks.
I think my number two would be Jay Wright, the former Villanova coach. He obviously knows players on the roster.
Yeah.
He's an elite X and O guy.
There are a lot of people on Twitter, and again, I know it's Twitter. It's not credible.
It's
Not
Twitter. It's X, please.
X.
Thank you.
There's a lot of conversation among pundits on X that, that agree with you that Jay Wright would be a great fit, but most people think he wouldn't be interested in it just because he has a cushy job and setup.
And he's retired from coaching now.
So I don't know. Like, again, see, that's the thing. The Knicks job is one of those jobs that nobody gives a damn if you're retired or not. You're considering it. Like, it is what it is. So I don't know. I don't know if head coaching candidates like Jay Wright or like Michael Malone, how they view Knicks ownership. How do you view coaching for the Knicks? I mean, obviously,
it's a premier job.
Yes, but also though, like, look at Michael Malone. You took a team in Denver that was very much a middle of the road team for a while, and you elevated them, developed guys, and brought them to heights they hadn't seen in a long time. And most people agree with that. The question is, if you're Michael Malone, is that the next job you want? Do you want, because Denver, with all due respect, Denver's a great market, but it's not New York. It's not LA.
Yeah, but he took a bunch of never-weres and turned them into almost a dynasty.
Yeah.
I mean,
he's a hell of a coach.
Michael Malone is a really good coach who knows how to leverage defenses.
It's not to say he can't handle it. I'm just curious if you're Michael Malone, let's say, or Jay Wright, or whatever candidate, you hear the New York Knicks job is open, your first thought is not whether you'd want the job. Your first thought is, do you feel like dealing with ownership, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. I think it's going to be one of those things you really have to watch, and I am very curious to see exactly how that plays out, because I am not convinced. And obviously, I am not somebody that is a huge believer in Dan Hurley as an NBA guy. But if Dan Hurley wants that job, I think you're going to be hard-pressed not to at least interview him.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Michael Malone is clearly the hire.
Yeah.
After that, if you cannot get him, I don't know how or where else you go. They need to win a ring in next season or the season after. You've got to go get Kevin Durant. And I think I agree with what Shams said today. This could be the savior of the Phoenix Suns. Because if you're able to make a Kevin Durant trade, that gets you out of a lot of problems. And I think if you can make that a 3-team deal where the Suns end up with Mikal Bridges, somebody ends up with Bradley Beal, and the Knicks end up with Kevin Durant in some form or fashion, if those 3 guys wind up in different cities, who says no to that?
Mm-hmm.
I think it's going to be a tough deal to make. I think it's going to be an incredibly tough deal to make. But the Suns have a need, and Kevin Durant, I think, would love to win a championship in the Garden. I think he is that guy.
Yeah.
I think he wants it. I think you look at Kevin Durant, if there has ever been a more thirsty dude to end his career, good Lord.
Yep.
I think you have to do that. Wasikowskinator Calipari? Nah, I don't think so. I think John's got to write his...
he's qualified enough.
I don't think he is. And wasn't he the coach of the Knicks once already?
I don't know. Let me look.
No, the Nets. He was the New Jersey Nets. No, I don't think he will. Dan Hurley would be the guy I would hire if I were the Knicks. Horny James says. I mean, Dan Hurley is somebody that's going to get attention, but is that a guy that you believe can come to the Garden and win a championship at the NBA level? After he was straight up offered the Laker job and turned it down.
Yeah, Calipari is definitely not an option. 3 years of experience with the Nets from 96 to 99, and then served as an assistant for the 76ers under Larry Brown during the 99-2000 season.
Big Daddy Magic. Victor is the best big in NBA history.
Cool, dude.
You in the history of the NBA. Stop. You get so carried away on Victor Wembanyama. He hasn't won a fucking thing. Yeah. What do you mean the NBA history? Stop, dude. Have some logic behind it. It drives me. Van Gundy. I think that ship has sailed. Monty, are the Knicks one player away? No, I think they are. I think if it depends on who you move to get the one player. If you move Cat, and if it's Karl Anthony Towns going out instead of Bridges, you're one player away. The problem is nobody's taking Karl Anthony Towns for Kevin Durant.
No.
That's not going to happen. If it's Mikal Bridges and you're keeping Karl-Anthony Towns, that is a huge salary to eat. Because I think Karl-Anthony Towns is one of the worst defenders in this NBA playoff season. I mean, he got abused on the defensive end. And my biggest question is, do you want to invest the time and energy to unlock OG Anunoby further than he is? Because there's more in there. And do you want to be the guy that unlocks him, or do you want somebody else to unlock him? Because Jalen Brunson, I don't believe, had confidence in his teammates in the fourth quarter, which is why I did not. Which is why they ball hogged him.
Yeah.
I think it's a problem. So are they one specific player away? I don't know about that. Johnny Gonzalez is Tom Green a good NBA fit? Not anymore. Welcome to the nightmare. I would go to Michael Malone with the resume alone and has Nick ties between himself and his dad, Brendan. Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah, I just think it's the obvious hire. I think he's the most qualified, the least drama. You know, I'm a big believer with that in head coaches. Like, you know, if you hire this guy, what is everyone going to say about it? What is the reaction going to be? Well, if you hire Michael Malone, the reaction is going to be, hey, this guy's won championships and has loads of experience and is a proven head coach in the league and has no problem managing big stars. You can't deny that. And so to me, I just think it's a no-brainer. But again, the Knicks have this propensity of doing things that are unconventional.
They do.
And wind up not working. So again, I'm just sitting here saying,
nightmare, I'm with you though.
Yeah, I mean, I think that Michael Malone is the ideal hire, number one, best option, and I'm not really confident there's a number two that's even close. And that's just off of resume and pedigree. And then from there, if you hire Malone and then you parlay that into a Kevin Durant trade and you don't blow up your whole roster with the Kevin Durant trade, then I think you're in a pretty good spot. You know, if it's Brunson and KD, you know, and then that cast of characters on some level. You know, I like that. I like that proposition. And obviously Kevin Durant has played with several of those guys already. You know, there's a chemistry there already. So we'll see.
I think you have to find a way, because I don't even know how long Cat's got left on his contract. I think you have to find a way to get Josh Hart to be your sixth man. He's not a starting guard in this league. And I love the guy and I love his tenacity. There's nobody that's got bigger balls than Josh Hart in big moments. I need Josh Hart to be a bench player. I need him to be their Alex Caruso, right? And if I look at their active cap, yeah, he's making $49.2 million, Karl-Anthony Towns. And that contract is 53 next year, 57 in 26-27. And then he has a player option for $61 million in 27-28, fully guaranteed. Woo. Good luck. How are you? That's going to be a tough contract to move. And there's a sucker born every day. But you look at the money that's down this roster, and this is what I was talking about during the playoffs. You have really affordable stars on that team. Jalen Brunson is making 50% less than Karl-Anthony Towns.
How? I know how, but just, man.
That's outrageous. That OG Anunoby's making significantly more than Jalen Brunson. Jalen Brunson made 34.9. And OG Anunoby, 36, 39, 42, 45, and 48. And I like OG, but you got to get more out of him. And Mikal Bridges, I think, is on a rookie extension. Yeah, he is this coming season. He'll be 29 years old, and he'll make $24.9 million and then be unrestricted. You got to trade him. That is, to me, that contract makes him even more valuable. And I look at the other guys on this list. Mitchell Robinson, I don't think he has a lot of value because you're playing hack-a-Mitch, right? Like how many times did Boston and then Indiana foul him the second he got the ball? A lot. So I think they have to improve. Now, he doesn't make much money, $14 million or whatever. They have to improve the supporting cast because they were better than Indiana. They just couldn't execute.
Yep.
And that's on the coach. And that's why I agree with them firing Tibbs. Like, I think that's a huge deal. That's a huge deal. Who is the leading black head coaching candidate? Wouldn't you expect national media talking heads to be pushing that narrative? I don't know about that. I mean, I think the Knicks need to win a championship. And I don't know that you care about the color of a coach's skin. I mean, if we're talking about the leading black head coaching candidate, isn't Sam Cassell that guy? But he has 0 head coaching experience.
Yeah.
You can't hire that guy to be the head coach of the Knicks.
I just don't think that matters per se.
I don't think it matters either.
Yeah.
I think it's Michael Malone. And if it's not Michael Malone, it better be Michael Malone.
I mean, that's my point.
I don't think you can. Are you telling Jalen Brunson to go listen to UConn's coach?
Come on.
When he went to Nova? Yeah, I don't think so. This is going to be really interesting to watch. I think it is going to be very interesting to watch and see how it all plays out. But I think there's going to be a lot of teams on the move to get better. And I think that you look at, I'm telling you, you guys, I know you think I'm crazy. Watch the Dallas Mavericks. I think there's so many people. I hear so much about how the Mavericks are going to be aggressive. And
yeah,
I would watch the Mavericks. I honestly, if the Lakers are willing to trade Austin Reeves, and if the rumors are true that not even Devin Booker is safe in Phoenix, I don't know how. Like if you're Kevin Durant in the framework of this conversation, if you are Kevin Durant, are you exponentially more excited about the Houston Rockets or the New York Knicks? I am way more excited about the New York Knicks. I feel it germinating in my bones if I'm Kevin Durant, right? Like, I think Kevin Durant as a New York Knick is that makes them a championship contender because that cat can still score.
Yeah, I mean, I think that KD on the Knicks winning a championship is
what
he needs and
what the NBA needs.
And I just think that, again, I think that, building to winning a championship is a multi-year process. And, people criticizing the Tibbs thing and then not having the vision with what they could do with a Kevin Durant trade. Like, I just think you're not thinking of this the right way. Like,
I agree.
Like, you got to move on from Tibbs and get to somebody who knows how to win a championship and knows how to manage modern day NBA players. This isn't the 90s anymore, Tibbs. This isn't the 2000s where you can tell them to go F themselves on the bench if they don't like it. Like, you're not doing that anymore, bro. This is a league where your head coach has to be your advocate and has to be somebody that you believe in and somebody that you actually get along with rather than someone who you're concerned about making you run constantly for discipline. Like, that's not like times have changed. So to me, I sit here and I say, yeah, go get Mike and then go do the Kevin Durant deal and do that deal with obviously without Brunson involved and in my opinion, without Mikal Bridges involved, because I think the length you need on defense is KD, Bridges, and then a big. Like, that's what you're going to have to do.
Yeah. And I also think this question right here plays a huge role in this trade. Is OKC versus Indiana good for the NBA? Please don't tell me that's the 7th best matchup in the NBA, like your Texas State. I think it's terrible.
It is.
I'm going to sit here, and I know that you guys are going to get into me again because I always say this about small market teams. Oklahoma City is about to win an NBA championship, and I think it's terrible for the NBA. I think because I think we had this argument on the show recently. You sent me an article on this today.
Mm-hmm.
SGA is not a superstar. He's not a guy where you're like, well, man, dude, SGA, where can I get that jersey? He's not a superstar. He can walk down the street in just about any city in this country and not be picked out. He can go to dinner and he'll be fine. I think it is bad. And this is the argument we had about Tyrese Halliburton. I think it's the exact same thing. Tyrese Halliburton's not a star. He's not a household name. Not many people in this country know who Tyrese Halliburton is.
Mm-hmm.
If I walk up to a garden variety American, I say, hey, who's SGA? Or, hey, what'd you think of SGA's performance last night? They're going to look at me like, who? Hey, what'd you think of LeBron last night? You're going to know. Okay, throw out LeBron, all-time great. What'd you think of Garden Variety NBA fan is going to have seen Devin Booker, Kevin Durant, Luka Doncic, Luka Doncic, although he does look thinner.
My name is Luka.
Is SGA on that level?
Don't think you're on Luka's level popularity-wise, no. You're definitely not on LeBron's. You're not on KD's.
Is there a difference between a star and a superstar in the NBA?
Yeah, I mean, I think being a superstar comes with popularity. You know, being a star, you can be a star without being popular, right? Like I would contend that SGA is the best example of that. I think, you know, Jaylen Brown's a great example of that. Jaylen Brown, I would say, is at a minimum top 15 player in the NBA. Some people have him top 10, but certainly top 15. And I'm not sure that a West Coaster casual would recognize him out in public.
Okay, stop the show. I've never said this before. I agree with Eric Wasikowski.
Bro, please.
Now that signals a significant moment in the show.
Anita, Dick, and me.
Yeah, what are you doing, dude?
Okay is a hell of a drug.
A repeat of the Edmonton, Florida series is better than OKC, Indiana. I think I am so much more excited about the Cup than I am about the NBA Final. Am I crazy for thinking the NBA Finals is just not that interesting?
It's interesting to me. I think the matchups in the series are great. But nationally, no, it's going to hurt the NBA. But if you're an NBA observer, if you know the game, if you know what to watch for, it's a great series, in my opinion.
I think the diehard NBA fans, such as and like myself, will watch the NBA Finals.
Yes.
The casual, I agree with Eric. Dude, I'm so excited to see Connor McDeasy, my dude. I love you. Raise the Stanley Cup.
Can Connor McDavid
excuse me, it's McDeasy.
Can McDizzle and the hey, you touched the trophy to go to the Cup.
The conference bowl.
That means you're gonna lose. Can he end that stigma?
I would not have touched it. We had an experience a couple of years ago with the Utah Grizzlies. And we had the opportunity to bring the Stanley Cup in. The organization brought the Stanley Cup in. Jake and I did a bunch of video and a bunch of filming around it, and the players wouldn't touch it.
Yeah.
Like because they're so well, if I touch it, I'm never going to. And I'm telling you, I'm that guy. I believe in it. And I just think I want Connor McDavid. I want to see McDavid and Draisaitl as a unit win now. Because I also think that Skinner deserves a lot of credit. I think what he's done to solidify the back end of that defense as a goaltender, I think is really significant. And I don't think he's getting enough credit. And I don't think McDavid and Draisaitl get enough credit for the combo they are. Connor McDavid is a joy to watch play hockey. His speed and grace alone. And they're that duo where you're like, if you guys don't win a Stanley Cup right now, you're never going to win one.
Yeah.
And if Connor McDavid retires without a cup, I am going to be heartbroken, because if he loses this one, I think he leaves Edmonton. And I think that would be terrible for the NHL.
Edmonton being good is awesome.
I love their fan base. Like Eric, I don't know what, and I'm not sure, maybe you're on lithium or Valium. I'm not sure. But this is exactly.
Cocaine is a hell of a drug.
Yeah, no, it's not cocaine.
No, it's pink cocaine. You're right. Yeah.
You know.
Stat on Kevin Durant, just for the Knicks shouldn't trade for Kevin Durant guy. Kevin Durant hasn't averaged under 25 points per game since 07-08 rookie year.
Guy's a stud.
And hasn't shot under 50% since 2010-2011.
I think Kevin Durant is a scorer now. His ability to stay healthy is the biggest question. He can still play the game at an elite level when he's healthy. And your availability is your best ability. So, fat Jesus. The Knicks can have KD if they take Beal too. Dude, that contract.
brutal.
Ugh. Cavs trading Donovan to the Mavs for Flag, not going to happen. Not going to happen. There are so many people rooting against Cooper Flag. And I really, you guys know this. I hate when we root against people to fail. When we say, hey, I know this is your lifelong dream, but suck it. I hope you fail. Like I'll never understand, like the Shador thing. I'll never understand it. Why you're happy that the kid lost his lifelong dreams and millions of dollars. Why are you rooting for Cooper Flag not to be the number one pick? Like, why would that make you happy? Why, like, you have so many creepers out there who just want successful people to fail, and I'll never understand it.
Yeah.
It's wild to me. If you're the Knicks, you have thrown all that money and draft capital on this team currently. Even with the potential KD trade, you have to lock up and pay to get Malone. You do, but you can't not do it. Jay McClanahan, OKC Indiana is terrible for the NBA. One of the worst finals. I agree. I totally agree. Delaric, this is a first round matchup series. Agree. Fat Jesus. I think a small market team beating a major market team is exciting, but casual fans will not care about this. Well, Indianapolis and OKC are not major markets.
No.
So I would agree with you on that. Big Daddy Dallas. This series could be where stars are born. I'd rather watch these two young and hungry teams than watch LeBron cry every time he misses a shot. Okay. LeBron catching strays out of nowhere, which is the norm. Horny James. Clearly, the NBA needs at least one big city to be represented in the finals. LA, New York, Chicago, or Houston. I agree. He said Dallas, but I ignored it.
Right.
Dallas, I think Houston's not a major market. Not in NBA terms. Not unless you get like the Dream Shake back, or they don't have a generational player, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So Houston will be a major market when there's major talent in that market. The Astros, right? Even though the buzzer was the best player on the team. Anyway, okay, let's move on. Jay says you need to have big names in the finals. Celtics, Lakers, Golden State, New York. I agree. Big Daddy, Houston. Newsflash, Monty. The NBA hasn't been interesting in years. Oh, I totally disagree. I love the NBA. Love it. I think they're doing some stupid stuff. The All-Star game stuff, the in-season tournament stuff.
Commissioner Ears needs to be replaced.
I would agree. Stadium guy James, considering I used to live in Kansas City, I want OKC to win it, but I'm a diehard NBA fan.
No, you're not.
No,
you're not.
Somebody needs to keep a running list of all of James's teams. And the fact that you have said on this show that you're a fan of Fat Ass, who's in LA now, Luka Doncic.
Badass.
You straight up were claimed to be just distraught over the Luka trade because you're a Dallas Mavericks fan.
Yeah,
now you're saying you're an OKC fan?
Yeah, now you're knee padding Patrick Mahomes,
And then you're a Kansas City Chiefs fan.
Come on.
Those scumbag cheaters, the Chiefs.
No chance.
No.
No chance, dude. I can't get down. No.
Have you had a break because of your divorce? Did you take some time to be introspective?
Is that what we're calling it now? Introspective?
And maybe the therapy that you went through
21
with this divorce has brought out the rectus maximuses of
Macaque.
I'm a Chiefs fan. You're
That's
now
what it is.
a TCU fan.
He's been zinning. That's what it is.
James?
He's been zinning. That's
James,
what it is, dude.
Serious question. Did you pack your foreskin with Zin?
Anita, Dick, and me.
Is that what happened? Let's have an open, honest conversation. I know that you said...
Do we need music and an ISO here?
No.
Okay.
No. I know you said that you were having butthole issues with your colitis and stuff.
Butthole
issues. Did you have a Zin blowout in the rectus? And so
nobody said boo.
You rolled that thing back and packed your homies in there?
Your homies.
Is that what?
Janus.
Listen, James, we all have moments in our lives. And maybe James has been openly talking about the fact he's going through a divorce. And What is wrong with you? Anyway, James has been openly talking about that he's going through a divorce and he has leaky butthole.
Holden Middick.
And, I'm trying to be compassionate. The man is struggling. Anyway,
It is what it is.
James has talked about the fact that the butthole is not functioning properly. That, he's gone from foam poles to milkshakes. And I think, obviously, he had to find another place to pack that Zin. It's fine. And then he says stuff like this, and I just want to say, and you wonder why your butthole's leaking. In fact, the first thing I did when AD became a Maverick was buy an AD jersey. So
after
now,
the street closed Davis,
the list continues. Ollie Gordon, Preston Stone and his crooked cock.
Well, Monty, I bought a Preston Stone jersey when he first announced his time at SMU.
The Oak State wide receiver room. All of them. Mike Gundy's legacy.
Your buddy, the sideline reporter.
Who by all accounts packs Zin as well. And now Jake Retzlaff. only after pronouncing Haas Henji the greatest transfer in the history of football, which was followed up closely by reports that he was god-awful in spring football.
That's right, T.
I don't know that you want to go out on a limb here, and now you're saying you bought an Anthony Davis jersey, and there are some reports he'll never play another game for the Mavericks.
Facial recognition.
So, James, you are undefeated in stuff.
I mean, when are you going to move on to like Burrow or another prolific AFC quarterback?
Johnny Gonzalez. And then you pronounced yourselves a Chief fan, and they got that ass whooped. Put the Chiefs on the list. Put the Chiefs on the list. You wrecked the Chiefs as well. Johnny Gonzalez, I thought zinning was a level 1 violation of the Torah. I believe it is. Well, now people are talking directly to James. Welcome to the nightmare. Hey, James. Do you have an Excel doc you can send us to upload all the teams you cheer for? Eric Wasikowski. At least I'm consistent with my teams, Monty.
Okay, I'll give you that.
You are a Michigan State fan through and through.
First team all iPhone. I get it, dude.
Yeah, East Lansing.
Yeah.
We're with you. I take Humira now. I'm 100% healthy. Okay, that's always good.
That's great, dude.
My divorce was 2 years ago. So you got divorced 2 years ago and you're already remarried?
Wait. I need clarity. Seriously, I need clarity. Was the wife that you said wasn't hot, is that your current wife? Or was that
your ex-wife?
From the divorced wife?
I'm so confused. You got divorced.
See, that's what I thought. I thought
2
you got
years
divorced
ago.
and he remarried.
But it was, you got divorced. Bro, were you already in, were you guys already packing Zin when you got divorced?
Hold on. Were you Trevor Bauering with your current wife back then? Were you talking to another, person from the other team? Is that what was going on? That's how you became a Baylor fan, isn't it? Because you're a Baylor fan too, right? Your current wife is a Baylor fan, so you say. So is that what this is?
But I'd also point out that he's rooted for Baylor in the past, and they've been god awful. So yeah, were you were you a little aggressive post filing for divorce? How do you get married within 2 years? You got divorced 2 years ago, and you're married already.
Monty.
Are you single or are you married?
Monty, love knows no bounds.
Monty James is a bandwagon fan. No.
What?
No.
What?
Oh, look at that. Dude. First in tomorrow.
Dude.
Dude. declaring I've been a Mavs fan since Dirk played there.
Dude, get the hell out of here, bro. I know you're not about to say that you were a Mavs fan when Dirk did LeBron dirty in the finals. You can't be serious, dude. Come on. Well, do you have a Dirk jersey too? I mean, honestly.
My current wife is hot. You said she was not, and always has been, but she is also smart. But so you are married. Wait, you're going to have to explain this. So you've been divorced for 2 years, but you're already married.
Excellent strategy, sir.
Were you
How the fuck else would you do this job?
I mean,
let's not say the quiet part out loud.
Did you cheat on Preston Stone with your current wife?
Pump those numbers up. Those are rookie numbers in this racket.
James?
How
do you make that timeline work, man?
Who are you, Bill Belichick?
I am not a Baylor fan. My wife is, but you go to Baylor games and root for Baylor while you're at Baylor games.
Hi, this is James. Welcome back.
Boy, you are one unfaithful SOB, aren't you? You cheat on TCU with Oak State. You cheat on TCU with Baylor.
Yay!
You cheat on the Oklahoma City Thunder with Dirk now all of a sudden.
Championship week. Yay!
Out of nowhere.
Let me ask you this, James, just really quick. I mean, so you're claiming to be a Mavs fan since Dirk was on the roster. Why didn't you get like a JJ Barea jersey? I mean, come on.
Boyd Lake, the current wife is always hot. Wink.
Well.
Yeah, like who's your other NFL team? Are you not a Cowboy fan? How are you a Mavericks fan, but you're not a Cowboy fan? Hot like a roller glizzy. Damn right. Oh, James, you put yourself in these cobwebs of just, hey, I'm happy. If you're 100%.
You took Bobby
healthy,
Witt?
Yeah.
He went deep.
Oh, I think I didn't take Bobby Witt.
Yeah, he went deep to start the game.
What a cock. That's not nice, Bobby Witt.
Bobby.
A Nico Horner. Ho! He hasn't done anything.
Oh, my bad.
Shohei Ohtani and Gabby Williams with Nico Horner. Stadium guy James, NFL best NFC team, Dallas AFC. You can't have two.
You can't. That's not how it works.
There's
bro.
not. You don't have two
so
teams.
You're a circumcised Skeeter guy now?
Oh God. So that means you can't pack sin under your foreskin.
Dude, what you salt your McGrill to death?
No, you're a Chiefs fan. Hey, get out of here with this Cowboy fan stuff. You're a Chiefs fan.
We're not making any changes.
Yeah, we're not making any changes to the list. Pope James breaking one of the 10 commandments. Listen, James, do you care? Oak State James, Horny James. Well, now Horny James kind of has a different ring to it, doesn't it?
Ass.
Yeah, yeah. James, do you care to expound on your marriage, divorce, getting remarried to a hot chick line?
Buddy gets paid a lot of money.
I bet he does. Okay. James.
Buddy was Buddy tonight.
Yeah. Hey, buddy. It's 6:00. You need to go home. Jake's not allowed to stay out late anymore. Ask Jake to play golf tonight. Nah, bro, I got to go home.
No,
Jake's got a curfew.
We were having such a good show.
I see the collar mark around your neck. You got that leash on you tight.
Right.
Appreciate everybody being here today. Always our pleasure to present the Monty Show. Brought to you by our friends at The Advocates, theadvocates.com, the best injury attorneys in the business. Second only to Calford, who gives the Monty Show 20 memberships.
Nice job, dude. Well done.
I appreciate that. Calford, always good to see you. Go get him, everybody. We'll be back tomorrow, allegedly.
Allegedly.
We'll try to get James to admit that he was packing Zin. It's fine.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Quote, it's simple.
My guy says it's simple and proceeds to follow that up with, my wife refused to move to Texas. She cheated on me After the divorce, I met Susanna, got married a year later. So let me get this right. It's not that simple. When she wouldn't move after she cheated on you, I would not describe that as simple.
It is what it is.
Now we need to know how you found. As the world turns.
You better be here tomorrow.
As the world turns with Oak State James. Dude. How did you find out she cheated on you?
Here I am.
Dude, this is an incredible development.
That's amazing.
Like, honestly.
That's amazing. The Monty Show presented by The Advocates at theadvocates.com, the best injury attorneys in the business, where you never pay a penny out of pocket to talk to one of the best injury attorneys who will give you clear, risk-free advice. 24/7, 365 at theadvocates.com. Until tomorrow, say goodbye, Jake.
Goodbye, Jake.